No sign of the black-clad gangman. Front page news, random killing. No gang affiliation, no mob justice. Murder! Tostita! Bruised neck I ripped!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hot on the Presses
We're hot.
and on the Presses.
What's poppin', bitches? I feel like it's been 10 billion years, even though we're now doing these more consistently than we've ever done them before.
I know, and I feel a little bad because I think that the release schedule is a little bit iffy. But sometimes you have work and you have exhausting children, and you just can't for the life of you focus on editing out ums for an hour every night.
It does sound like you just said that you have multiple children, which you don't.
I don't. Well, contrary to what my kids at work think, I'll tell you one thing. So if you haven't heard any previous episodes, I teach art classes, and some of those are for children. And I just finished teaching a week-long workshop for 4 to 6 year olds, which was terrible because it's 3 hours every morning with 4 year olds who are not capable of holding a paintbrush or a pencil very well. So you're doing basically everything for them while fielding questions. So there was this one kid, the boss baby, because he looked a little like the boss baby,
Okay.
who was my opposition for the week. He just really at every turn was trying to sabotage me.
This
But
man.
at one point he looks at me and he says, "Miss Megan, how old are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm 20." And he says, "So how old's your son?" And I said, "What?" And I said, "I don't have any kids." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then one of the other kids jumps in. They go, "Of course she doesn't. She's a Miss Megan. You have to be a Mrs. to have kids." And I was like,
Your son is 36 years old. His name is Robin Pecknold.
"No, that's my husband." Um, so they're like, she has to be a Mrs. to have children, and I was like, "Oh," and my assistant teacher Leon is like, "That's not true," and then they keep going, and at one point another kid turns around and goes, "Wait, so you're not married?" And I go, "No, I'm 20. I'm not married. I'm single." And the girl looks at me up and down and goes, "That makes sense." I was like,
I love kids having no concept of what age actually is.
"I
Because,
know."
like, I decidedly remember all of my... Because I was a summer camp counselor for 3 years, so imagine the thing that you just described, but for 7 hours a day, in the blazing sun, for 8 weeks.
I would
And,
die a little.
well, look at me now. I'm a shell of a woman. But this... I have distinct memories because I attended the same camp as a kid, and I picture these people as adults. Like
Yes.
in my brain, like when I think about my old camp counselor Oliver, shout out. I don't even know if you're alive, but shout out. I'm picturing an adult man,
Yeah.
and now having been in Oliver's exact position, I how does any summer camp function?
Yeah.
Just putting all 16, it's insane. Everyone there is like this is as much like daycare for the 16-year-olds as it is for the kids, you
Yeah.
know?
At one point, I had to ask because there's like always like a quote unquote like goal or outcome for the workshops where it's like we hope that we leave knowing this. Like I taught one that's faces and figures where it's like obviously you want to learn proportion rules and that's the goal to get out. So I look at my manager and I go, "For this workshop, is the goal literally just daycare?" And she goes, "Yeah, pretty much." So I was like, "Okay, I guess that takes away some pressure on me. I don't have to actually teach them anything, but also I'm like, I'm not trained for this."
I think the point of a summer camp, like of having counselors at a summer camp that are 16-year-olds, is just like if you occupy them for 8 hours a day in the blazing sun, they'll be too tired to go home and smoke crack. So
Mhm.
it's like keeping them in line like that, you know?
True. This kid, but the boss baby, he also had a fixation with movie soundtracks and would ask me to play them every day. So, and it got very irritating very quickly because he did not take no for an answer.
You said Luigi's Mansion last time?
Yeah, so he he comes in and he goes, "Miss Megan?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Can we listen to the Luigi's Mansion soundtrack?" And I said, no, we can't actually. We were listening to classical." And he goes, "Oh, how about Tron Legacy?" And I said,
Obsessed with this kid!
"Yeah."
What?
And I said, "What?" And he goes, "That one's calm." And I was like, I
This
said,
kid
"I don't know
loves
about that one, buddy."
this kid loves Daft Punk and GameCube games released 20 years before he was born. This is
Yes.
incredible. This kid is based.
And then he says, "How about the Lego movie?" And I said, "I don't think so." And then he just starts singing "Everything is Awesome." And he does not stop for the rest of the class. All 3 hours, he's singing "Everything is Awesome."
Didn't
Only the chorus over and over.
didn't Mark Mothersbaugh do the Lego movie soundtrack?
I have no fucking clue.
Yes,
But
he did. He
he
did.
fucking, this kid, I like leaned down at some point because he's singing loudly. I leaned down and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, this is art class, not singing class, right? So let's save that for home." And as I'm talking, he goes from "Everything is awesome," and then as I'm talking, he gets a little quiet. He goes, "Everything is awesome. Everything is cool and party." And then eventually, he just starts humming it. And I was like, "That's okay, pal. You can do that." And he goes, and then I turn around and he's like, "Everything is awesome." And I'm like, "Ah!"
So, I think it is important to note that yes, while the score for the Lego Movie was done by Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo, um, Everything is Awesome is a single by Tegan and Sarah
Wow.
featuring The Lonely Island.
Whoa.
And it is produced by Mark Mothersbaugh. Which
Okay,
is just
we all talked
incredible.
about the Minions soundtrack as being like the most hellish gathering of people who should not be on tracks together, but like that one's pretty, it's a good competitor as well.
And here's the thing, like you put those three people in a blender, or those three artists in a blender, and yes, Everything is Awesome is in fact what you would get. So
Yeah, there's no other outcome.
I gotta give it up there.
Yeah, that's tough.
This has led me down a Wikipedia deep dive, and I'm now on the page for brick film, which is what apparently the technical term is for animating using Lego bricks. And if our lovely listeners want to go to the brick film Wikipedia page, they will see in the top right corner one of the most beautiful gifs I've ever seen. Caption: a brick film clip showing a Lego minifigure panicking, which I will now be sending to you and immediately saving into my favorite gifs because this is a work of art.
I like that. I'm gonna use that.
He's
I'll
really good. I'm a big
I'll
fan.
include it in the episode.
Um,
Um,
shall we move on
so
to our brief little news segment here?
yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of gatherings of people, can we give a Rolling Loud update?
Oh God, can we ever? Yeah. So last time we intrepidly reported upon the goings on of Mr. Kanye West, who is credited as Ye, just Ye on
Mm-hmm.
the new Lil Durk song that he's on, which I had no idea. I learned that yesterday. Um, and we reported on his pulling out of Rolling Loud due to question mark. He just kind of he was scheduled as the headliner and then dipped just as he did with Coachella, and he was replaced by Kid Cudi.
Yep.
Also just as at Coachella. So now Rolling Loud has occurred, and the Kid Cudi set was predictably for Kanye fans a disaster. They
Mm-hmm.
started like chanting, "We want Kanye, we want Kanye," and throwing shit at him, and he ended up walking off stage after two separate items hit him in the face. Which is just disrespectful. Kid Cudi does not deserve that. Go fuck yourselves, everybody in that crowd. Um, and then the real drama later in the evening was when Lil Durk performed. See, my Lil Durk mention earlier was
Mm-hmm.
foreshadowing. And who did he bring out but the man, the myth, the
Kanye
legend?
West.
Lil Durk fucking brought out Kanye West at Rolling Loud, post him pulling out, and I just want to know how.
Yeah.
Like, what sequence of events led to that occurring? Like, did the organizers know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did anyone okay that, or did you just say this would be a funny bit, and Kanye was like, "Haha, yeah," and then did it?
if they did know, fuck them. Like that's ridiculous. Like literally, if you don't have the, I hate to use the word gumption, but like the gumption to say, if you're pulling out of our festival, you're pulling out of our fucking festival. Like we gotta get a substitute headliner for you. You're out.
Yeah.
But like, was he paid? Did they pay him for that,
I
or
don't
did he
know.
just show up?
I feel like he would just do that for the bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
again, he might not have enough money paying things, so maybe he needs that.
I don't know.
See last episode's lawsuit.
I could even just see it as a kiss off to Kid Cudi. Literally just like a fuck you to Cudi's.
Yeah, literally.
The other big news from Rolling Loud is that uh the reason that Kanye allegedly, not allegedly, he said this. The reason Kanye pulled out of Coachella all those many months ago,
Yeah.
when that seemed so relevant, was that they wouldn't let him bring out Travis Scott, because this was right after the
Oh.
Travis Scott thing had
Yeah.
happened at Astroworld. And Future brought out Travis Scott at this show.
Oh my God.
It's just insane. It's just so much dumb shit happening on top of each other. Like, I don't know. Not that I think Travis Scott should be banned from performing forever, but like that on top of the Kanye snub and on top of him then like coming out anyway is just so ridiculous.
It's a little bit much. And speaking of a little bit much, our next, okay, so for context, if you aren't a long-time listener and you're unfamiliar, we had a grand discussion in one of, I think, the first episodes.
I believe it was episode 3.
3? Yeah, I think so too.
Skin.
Filet skin, indeed. About my storied skin hypothetical that I came up with in freshman year of high school, and I've been pondering ever since.
It's actually episode 6, if anybody wants to go check that one out. It's just, I think it just feels so long ago.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so that's basically that's my hypothetical, that how much do you own your skin in the eyes of the law? Like if somebody took a piece of your skin away from you, would you be able to sue them not only for assault but theft? And now
we can't rehash this right now, but we have a number of very, very interesting and philosophically satisfying conclusions on this.
Yes, we do. So now there's an artist by the name of
the gerogerigegege, which we're both familiar with this artist, not only because we're like music poisoned, but also because we're internet poisoned. And I think if you are aware of this artist, it's because you are the same. He is his name is Juntaro Yamanouchi. He's a Japanese noise music artist. He's got like a fuck trillion albums. All of them are borderline unlistenable due to like just scraping noise and like samples of like horrible human noises. The name of the art, the act name gerogerigegege is onomatopoeia for simultaneously vomiting and expelling diarrhea.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yep, and he frequently just jacks off on stage. And there's like he has multiple albums where he is just jacking off on the track, like literally jacking off on the track. It's just
if the fluid cast ends up happening, we have to play one of those.
I will reach out to that man and say, hey, we're doing a poo poo pee pee themed radio broadcast. We would love for you to appear. Can you just moan for me, and we'll use that?
Just awesome. And that's going to be our station tag now. Welcome to Scad Radio More Than Music. But yeah, so he posted something it just amazing on, what was it, Twitter?
It's not Twitter. This is I think this is a Facebook post, but it's also like this is real. Like this is available. His new release,
quote unquote.
New release is titled Extracted Teeth, and it is the extracted teeth of Juntaro Yamanouchi, June 13, 2022, at Dental Clinic Koenji, Tokyo. It also goes to great pains to clarify that it is limited to one and sold out. Someone has already purchased this.
It is quite literally a photograph of a tooth with like, I think, something written in Sharpie on it.
Well, if you look a little bit closer, that is a photograph of like like one of those. Did you ever lose a tooth when you were in elementary school?
Little, like, the little plastic necklaces that they
Yes,
give you? Yes.
that's what it is. It's autographed, and then the first image is this horrible. It's a so the image itself is terrible. It's like this blurry picture of like this item with the cap off, and what is inside is presumably Juntaro
Tooth.
Yamanouchi's tooth. But this is a horrible. It's so yellow. It's
It's
so it's like a yellow shape inside this thing. It looks like a fucking like corn kernel, like an
yeah, it looks
unpopped
like
corn
it's been
kernel.
soaked in Mountain Dew for a while before it was put on sale.
This is like what they put at the front of the dentist's office, like the tooth soaking in Dr. Pepper to scare
Yeah,
you.
this is why you shouldn't drink soda.
This is
Also,
why
you can purchase it as a musical album.
this is why you shouldn't jack off into your own mouth. I had a music blog on Tumblr for forever, and the about me section was just like random posts about music, and I have a distinct memory that the first one was just a screenshot of a 4chan post that says you don't know shit about music unless you've jacked off into your own mouth at least once. And that's this. That's what this
That
is.
is what this is, yeah.
So
Oh
what do
my
you think?
god.
Once someone has purchased this album,
Question mark.
is it still Jintaro Yamanouchi's property?
I think that it actually validates it being property having been sold because then that's like you're exchanging monetary value for goods, you know?
That's true.
So I think that it's better for my case that you should be able to sue for theft because then that implies that something that's coming out of a body does in fact require legal tender to exchange, you know?
Right, but I also think this lends more credence to my theory because it didn't become a possession of his until it was removed and given to him, and now he can
Yes.
sell it. So now this is an item.
Yeah, but if he took out his own tooth, then it would be a possession as well.
Sure.
So in my hypothetical, if somebody removed the skin, right, and then took it from you,
Yeah.
that is a possession.
Right, but it's not a possession until it's removed.
Yeah, but still, it's yours.
Sure.
It came
But
out of
now
you.
right, but this actually raises the separate question because we were only debating like when it was stolen. This
Yeah.
is a legal sale.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that this is like a theft thing, but like at the same time, if somebody scammed Mr. Tooth and they didn't actually pay him for the tooth, they just took it and ran, and maybe they paid him with like falsified Bitcoin or something,
Oh god.
then I think that he could sue them for fraud or theft because there was an understanding of exchange that didn't happen.
I think it's a 50% shot as to whether Mr. Yamanouchi, who I feel the need to once again point out that he's obsessed with public masturbation.
Yes.
I feel the need that it is a 50-50 on whether he either hates Bitcoin or loves Bitcoin, and I think there's no in between.
Yeah, he's either like super into it. I feel like he would not to profile this man by his interests, but he strikes me as the kind of person who probably buys very strange adult videos on the internet.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would like Bitcoin as a way to encryptedly purchase those things.
God, he's like buying Ethereum so he can trade
Yeah,
it for like
exactly. For
best
like
gore
snuff films.
videos.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
god. Oh my god.
Does that not
Um
check out though?
uh it does. No, it tracks. It tracks. I guess my question is more like, do you in some way still hold any claim to your body parts once they are sold off? Like when you say like you have someone else's kidney in your body,
Hmm.
like is it really? Like
But
is that just now your kidney because it's working for you? But the
I
guy
think that's different though, because it's not like the dude is putting the tooth into his head and it's not functioning as a tooth. You know what I mean?
you could. It would be gross, but you could.
I mean, yeah, but it wouldn't actually be incorporated into his body because there's that root. The tooth root would be dead. You know, there's
I
no way
guess.
for a tooth to be incorporated. Like tooth transplants don't exist. So
Okay, sure, but assume this is hanging up in some eccentric Tokyo millionaire's Uber super mansion.
yes,
Actually, I think millionaires probably wouldn't be associated with this guy, but you know.
You never know.
You never know.
Millionaires are associated with furries, so you really never know things.
They do have money, and furries do have money, and strange porn a lot of the time. So
So
this
there's
is
might be
this
overlap
is
here.
this is a pro furry podcast for the record.
It
You
is.
guys rule. But it, once if the tooth is just sitting on somebody's shelf and it was legally purchased by this
Mhm.
person, does Juntaro Yamanouchi still own it in some capacity?
I think that he could say, like, do you mean, like, would he be able to, like, do takesy backsies and it would still be his, or what do you mean?
See Babsy's on my extracted, rotten fucking tooth.
Yeah,
JK
like
on that one.
like, what do you mean by a state like ownership? Like, it's like if you sell a ring on Etsy, are you able to be like, that's my ring actually, you know?
So funny. Can you imagine buying something on Etsy and then like a year later the person's like, actually, can I have that back?
They're like, I actually kind of
Um,
miss that. Like, I have this outfit that would be really cute
I
with. So.
have to repatriate this like it's from the fucking
Yeah.
British Museum.
Yeah,
Um,
it's eminent domain actually, so I'm gonna take that back.
oh my god. The
So like
Etsy.
I don't think that he'd be able to take it back as far as like not because it wouldn't be his possession anymore, or not because it's not like his thing that he made and took out of his body anymore, but just because it's not his because he sold it, you know?
But does he have moral ground to ask for it back?
No, because he sold it. Like there was an understanding that he's like is he paying the dude back for it or is he just taking it?
Signed a contract and he didn't realize, but it was actually just a tooth rental service the whole
Yeah.
time. He's
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
give it to the next highest bidder now.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a project, you gotta share it with everybody, you
I
know? So you
guess.
gotta give multiple people the chance to experience the tooth.
I hope this one goes up on streaming eventually. I'm very curious about it.
I hope so too. But yeah, so I wonder, what if it's just a recording of his tooth being removed?
Oh, that's horrible.
I could totally see that being the case though.
Yeah, maybe that'll be like his follow-up project.
Yeah,
And
like the
then at the end,
moment the moment the tooth gets removed and you hear the little like cut of the of the nerve, he moans in the mix, and then that's it.
okay, there's this. I want to tell a tooth story, but I'm not going to tell my horrible tooth story on this podcast for the sake of all the listeners. We'll get to this back afterwards.
Okay. Um, yeah, so after that thrilling legal debate and discussion of an artist who probably should not be discussed, um,
Disgust is the primary word there, like
yes,
DISGUST.
yeah, exactly. The double entendre is very important there. Note that we do not condone any of his behavior. Uh,
I guess if you paid to see it, knowing that's what you're getting into,
yeah,
that's
I
fine.
guess.
But like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't go to that show.
yeah, exactly. I'd much rather see Alex G shake ass than see him jack off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, truly the Gigi Allen of the modern day.
Truly. You know how people used to say that like Elvis was too raunchy for like being fully clothed on stage and like doing an air hump every once in a while?
God.
And now the Elvis of our generation.
Oh my god.
Okay. Shall we move on to our choices for this week?
Yeah, let's go for it. I assume we're gonna go for mine first.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I was in the one I gave you. I mean.
Yes, let's do that. So, Sophie gave me "The World Is a Loud Place" by Landlady.
My patience must be growing thin. From out the hide, I cannot know you for sure. Apologize, I cannot know you for sure.
This is one to be added to the pantheon of bands that are named after like females in female positions and are completely male.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. I guess. Actually, did I bring them up when we talked about this? I don't know.
It's like I mean, girl band used to be there, but now they renamed it Gilla
Yellow
Band for that
Band.
reason, which is so funny.
Mother
Yeah,
Mother
just
does have girls in it.
it does. Daughters is one of them. Ugh,
Oh
hate
no.
Daughters.
Fucking there's
The band Women,
the band Girls. That's what I was
the
gonna
bad
say.
girls, the band Women.
Uh,
Um,
wi- I think women and girls should team up and just
Yeah.
release the hottest banger male female album ever.
It's like the mamas and the papas, but it's just the
It's just,
girls
just
and the
the
women.
girls and the women. This is the gender of all time.
This band is so gender, dude. So anyway, this album, I when I started it, I was a big fan of it. I like Electric Skin, the title, or not the title track, the opening track, quite a
Hmm.
bit. It's got immediately, I I labeled it as American Everything Everything because of the vocals. Their instrumental palette is grimier than Everything Everything. It's a lot less like clean and squeaky. Um, but I do feel like the vocals occupy a similar, not like register maybe, but like the way that his voice swings up and down and stuff like that, it feels very very EE to me.
I I think that's a really funny comparison. Not one that's totally unfounded. Like obviously, I very much have a type of band, I guess.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
this is Sophie Core.
I'd never thought about that. It is funny that you say that everything are squeaky clean with the two EE albums you've heard being Get to Heaven and Raw Data, because you
Hmm.
said that and my brain just immediately went to some of the really like grungy guitar stuff on
Man,
Fever Dream. But anyway,
I think that the vocals are actually a bit of a breaking point for this album for me. I don't
huh.
love his vocals. He sounds when he gets up in his high range, he gets a little phlegmy.
Hmm.
And I don't super like that. I don't like the inflection of the way he says things a whole lot.
Hmm.
Um, it feels a little bit like Exotica twinged, like a really, really minor version of what I don't like about early alt J. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like sometimes the vocals lack power. Because the bass and the drum presence are very strong, and they keep the tracks moving and they keep them chugging. But I feel like the vocals neuter them sometimes because they keep things from being as like bold and strong as I would like them.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I can definitely understand that.
the my favorite tracks were probably Electric Skin and Hard to Spell. I thought those were good.
Hmm.
And I liked um the title track.
Hmm.
I like that one quite a bit too. I think that should have been the closer track though, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I think that Haymaker is a real dragger.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, the closer track Rest in Place is nice with the like sporadic drums and like how it kind of builds.
I actually kind of have the reverse opinion. I love Haymaker, and Museum People is fine, but Rest in Place is actually my least favorite track on the album.
Wow, I think that the chorus feels a little bit too King Gizzard for me. Like it's the it's the guitar tuning I think is kind of gizzy. And I think it dragged towards the end. That was one thing that I will say about this album is I felt like as we found out from this podcast, I am more on the side of meandering albums. I like things that take their time if they get somewhere good in the end.
Hmm.
But I found that this one, where it did wander at the end of some tracks and kind of explored a melody a little bit more,
Hmm.
there was never really enough of a payoff or enough interest to keep me really in that.
Huh.
So I kind of I would come in and be like stoked at the front of tracks, and then towards the end I would just be like, oh, we're still here.
I actually
Um,
kind of did recommend this album to you with that thought in mind, because to me, when I hear a song like Nina, which goes a few different places, and
mhm.
Solid Brass, which like kind of like changes shape over the course of it, I definitely was thinking about your like affection for songs that kind of meander. Um, but I thought it would be kind of like a nice fusion between our taste for those things, because what I love about Landlady is that yes, they are meandering and very like curious. Like I feel like they're a very like I get this weird image. We were talking about it for a second beforehand of like
Mhm.
every time he says a word, it's like he's just like relishing this like the sound of that word so much. Like the way he says
Yeah.
California on California, and on I forget what song it is, but there's a song where he says giant walls. And I love the way he says that. I get this weird image of like a monkey like crawling forward very curiously and getting kind of like distracted by different things it sees, and then being like delighted by different things it sees, because like
California.
Like I love like the sense of discovery on this album, and
Mhm.
like for me the payoff is, you know me, it's a hook a lot of the time, and like
Yeah.
the fact that this album is so like exploratory and curious and willing to meander, but never willing to sacrifice a really strong hook out of nowhere for that is something that I just love about it.
Yeah, and I think I really think that the hook thing might be the true divide between our tastes because I find that I almost am repelled by a hook a lot of the time. Because I feel like I like it when I can find something that I like about the track on my own, and there's something that I can latch onto, like, independently. So I guess when I hear, like, a really solid hook, I almost feel led in a way, that I
Hmm.
don't like. But I mean, I don't mind it on a lot of songs, like, it has its place in a lot of genres like pop, where I don't really care.
Yeah,
And even some, like prog, I think does a good job with hooks. But tracks like albums like these that are a little bit more psych and sort of wander, I wish that it would commit to more of the wandering and being on more of the journey
yeah,
rather than kind of being a foot in both worlds. So I guess I definitely see the sentiment of combining both of our tastes into this one,
yeah.
but I think that in that sentiment it kind of loses me because I just would like it to be either one or the other.
Yeah, having a foot in both worlds in like I mean, I've said this before, like having a foot in both worlds is kind of my ideal like musical thing. Like
Yeah.
I want so many of my favorite songs and records are pop albums, but they're pop albums that have something really strange about them or like some bizarre conceptual bent to them that
Yeah.
like really sells me on it. And I guess this just kind of falls into that. Like if you're approaching this from a pure like I want to get swept away in a river direction, then yeah, no, I won't do that for you.
Yeah, it is your album to a T, though. I definitely, when I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is Sophie Core.
The album
Um,
cover also is so like that's me. Like I
yeah,
love
like
this.
super bright colors, a little guy, like a lot of patterning.
If you fun tidbit about this album, if you go on Bandcamp, the Bandcamp page for this album, the cover is
Hmm.
actually a GIF.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and all of the tracks individually have their own like funny little GIF cover art. It's very, very cute.
You like stuff like that too, like cool little internet packaging.
Yeah, I do. I don't care too much about like Childish Gambino, but Childish Gambino replicating the lenticular like album cover as a GIF on streaming
Hmm.
like blew my fucking mind in like 2014.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that. I love that shit. I eat that shit up. I'm such a sucker.
yeah. That's shit in my throat. Speaking of phlegmy,
Were you at a Gege concert recently? I think you might want to get
can't
that checked
say
out.
can't say I was. Um, it's like a contact high, but like contact chlamydia. Oh my god. Shall we move on to the next album?
Yes, Megan, who definitely didn't just say the name of the album and then had to go back and cut it. Megan gave me, making the sign of the cross right now, uh,
Dum.
Discipline by the one, the only King Crimson.
Who should appear with two policemen?
You know, I do a lot for you.
You do.
I do a lot for you. Now let it never
And
be said that I did nothing for you
yeah,
because
you
I
sacrificed for me.
I lost my King Crimson virginity for you. I popped my King Crimson cherry for you. This is like
Yeah.
I fucking like if I'm talking about it once, I'm talking about it 10 billion times. But I get that like feeling with critically cocksucked music that like this is not for you. Like you can't listen to this. Like it's mentally gatekept. Like that's part of why we do this podcast. But
Yeah.
like King Crimson is like one of the absolute like I said like Perfume Genius gets hit with this, Big Thief gets hit with this, Soof before I really got into him. But like King Crimson is the one, right? Like,
Yeah, like in the funny thing is about King Crimson is that their big one, which is in the Court of the Crimson King, I find like fairly middling. I don't love it. I find it gets a little bit too big of a suck off in general. I think it's like above a 4 on Rate Your Music if I'm not mistaken.
I
Um,
think I hate to say it, I think this one is too.
this one I like though, and it's a little bit. I mean, evidently, if I gave it to you, but I think that this one deserves it in my opinion, but in the court does not. So that's the funny little King Crimson bit for me.
This
But
this has a this has a 3.98 on
there
Rate
you
Your Music,
go.
and Crimson King has a 4.31.
Jesus Christ, that is so undeserved.
They do have two other records above 4, and they are Lark's Tongues and Aspic and
Yep.
Red.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I need to listen to Lark's Tongue, but I've heard good things about Red. Um, this one I think is their funniest, and I think is one of their more jovial and like openly fun because it's I've heard it described as King Crimson Goes Talking Heads. It's very
What?
sporadic. Yeah.
I Yeah, like it's kind of there's a little new wave on here, but this is like this this is Scrimblow Bimblow music, Megan. Like
You're beginning to place my taste.
not that not that fucking Talking Heads don't get Scrimblow Bimblow in a different way, but like opening this album with elephant talk is like this is what Black Midi sounds like to people who hate Black Midi.
I
I'm gonna
love elephant
I
talking.
thought Elephant Talk fucking sucked. I thought that song was like a brutal misery to listen to. It's actually like one of
That's
my
so funny.
least favorite things we've listened to on the podcast so
That's
far.
so funny.
I
Ballyhoo.
it's not even just ballyhoo. He says like I'm googling the lyrics to Elephant Talk because I can't let this slide. This is like the
Basically, he like runs through different ways of saying the word talk, but going down like the ABCs. It's like baby's first thesaurus rundown. Is really funny to me.
babble, burble, banter, bicker, brouhaha, balderdash, ballyhoo. It's only talk, back talk, comments, cliches, comment. Oh my fucking god! And I need to stress.
Yeah.
We've talked before on this podcast about British people losing their British accents when they sing.
Yes.
This man does not. It's like all of this happening at me in like the nastiest 80s British man accent I've ever heard in my entire life, while the instrumental is in the background going like like I this is like this is the mental brown note for me. This is everything that I never want to listen to. And so I
On this episode, King Crimson makes Sophie shit herself.
I heard that first track and I was like, Megan, I can't fucking do this. And
Yeah.
then Mate Kudasai just like blew my shit back.
It's
I like I
it's
like
beautiful.
I got it. Like I listened to Mate Kudasai and I was like, oh, like I understand why people love this record so much. There's like 4 different guitar sounds going on that song. There's like the watery lead guitar, the rhythm guitar has a lot of like dirt and noise on it. There's
Hmm.
whatever the fuck they're doing to that steel guitar. I have no idea.
Yeah.
There's this really like measured but still like groovy progression to it. The lead melody is like really emotional out of like after Elephant Talk, like the lead melody being that like painfully emotional. And then the line, she sleeps in a chair in her sad America is like, that's beautiful. That's such like
It's gorgeous.
it's such a pretty way of like putting the pain of missing someone far away into like a really simple perspective. Like I'm
Yeah.
long distance with my girlfriend and I have been for almost 5 years now. And it's like that, yeah, that's it. Like that's it. Like I really felt for the narrator of this song a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and so I heard that, and we had an extremely amusing conversation on Discord about this, where
As we are wont to do.
yeah, we do frequently live blog to each other when we're listening to stuff that's very, very weird. And like Elephant Talk was like, I can't fucking do this. And then
Yeah.
the track immediately after that is some more like prog nonsense that kind of just went in one ear and out the other.
I believe that's
Um,
Indiscipline, right?
I have to look at the track list, but I don't remember. I actually wrote nothing about it. It is frame by frame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one got me like that one just gave me nothing to hang on to. It's like we could talk about this afterwards too, but it's one of those like technical virtuosity for the sake of technical virtuosity display type songs, that does nothing for me in any context.
Yeah.
We talked about like how I love King Gizzard, and with King Gizzard, we had a conversation like you were trying to like square my enjoyment of King Gizzard with my dislike of jamming, but I
Yeah.
also don't like King Gizzard when they're jamming.
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't like technical showcase type music. I always want to
Yeah.
hear a composition like every time.
I guess
Um
for me, the impasse is that I never feel like King Crimson are ever really in like a jamming space. They
I
always feel very measured to me.
Yeah, I don't know if jammy is the right word for what frame by frame is, and also yeah, the title track, which I did like the title track a little bit better. Um yeah, I don't know if jammy is the word, but it's like virtuosic for the sake of being virtuosic. Like, look how hard I can stroke my meat on this guitar. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
I see that.
never. And like, that's not to say that like instrumental virtuosity is a bad thing, like at all. I just want to hear that instrumental virtuosity applied to like convey an emotion to me, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
this is why I would be very interested to know how you feel about Rush, because Rush are very similar in that sense that a lot of what they make is intensely musical and is just like immaculately played,
yeah,
but they do lean much harder into being like endearingly nerdy about it, and like
yeah,
their lyrics are straight up sci-fi all the time. Like they talk about political theory, but like King Crimson are much more vague and a lot more, I mean, in the Court of the Crimson King is a lot more sci-fi, but this one in particular is just very free-flowing, which I think that the subject matter that the virtuosity is covering might be the issue for you, because I think that if it was in service of a story or a narrative, it might do something, but because it feels detached and just sort of like whatever, it doesn't really do much.
yeah. Not even like a narrative, but like just give me something conceptually to hang on to. Like, I don't even mind like instrumental music. Like, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just like let there be an emotional arc to it rather
Hmm.
than just like blow my fucking brains out with how good you are at guitar, you
Yeah.
know? I also really, really enjoyed Fellow Genji, which is so like groove heavy with the hook is so like the Fellow Genji, and they're just like chanting that is so like
Yeah.
weird and good. There's like this super engrossing series of passages where the lead, I don't think it's Fripp, I think it's someone else, is like describing an incident where he got bugged on the streets of New York City. Again with the like,
Do you want to know the full context behind that?
sure.
So he was at the studio and he was walking to the studio with the tape of the album and he was listening to it and like trying to see like what he could adjust on it.
Mhm.
And as he was doing that, he got walked up to by people who were, trying to mug him. And they were like, "What's that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's music. It's music. Like, please let me go. Like, I need this." And then they proceeded to mug him. And when he came back, he looked like very visibly like disheveled, and he was kind of in shock from the event. So he just starts babbling, like just word vomiting about the event. And the drummer, I believe, just starts a tape and starts recording him without his knowledge.
Wow.
So that's like him completely raw, like minutes after the event,
I didn't know
recounting it.
I didn't know that, but I was reading some stuff on Wikipedia about this song because I just want to know what the fuck Fellow Genji was. And
Yeah,
it's an anagram, it's nothing.
yeah.
It's an anagram of I think the heat in jungle.
The heat of the jungle.
Heat in the jungle is what it's an anagram
Yeah,
for. The term heat is American slang for firearms or police. Um, and apparently he used to get up on the mic and tell the story live, like while they were playing this song in the
hmm,
background, which is honestly like I can't say anything, but that's fucking cool. Like
yeah.
that would kill. I would go crazy over that
I
live.
love that it's not like a tape or anything, because you know that he would miss sentences or details every time. It
Yeah.
would be unique every time.
They did eventually like replace it with a tape, but like on the tour for this album, they did tell it live, which is so
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, and then the other song that I really liked was The Sheltering Sky, which I
yeah.
feel like is the one that everybody loves on this album from what I was
That one's
looking at.
ethereal.
Yeah, the chord progression on this is just incredible. Like this is what I mean by like if I want technical virtuosity in a song, make me feel something with it. Like
Yeah.
that's what technical virtuosity in music is for, in my opinion. Like the writing on this is unfucking believable, and then the playing on this is crazy. Like there's like this repeated guitar note and like African slit drums going on here, and the lead melody on this song is played on an instrument called a Chapman stick, which I had never ever heard of before.
Yeah.
Like doing a little research on this, and if you Google it, it just looks like the neck of the guitar, but really big. And it's like this squeaking sound. It's lovely. It lends so much to the atmosphere of this song.
Mm-hmm.
This song reminds me vibe-wise of a lot of old like Mort Garson
Yeah,
stuff,
definitely.
like Plantasia.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like absolutely enthralled by that song. That's definitely my favorite. Sheltering Sky is my favorite track, easy. And it
Yeah.
like I like absolutely carried away by that one. Like I can't say enough good things about that song. But that's the thing, right? Is that where we're standing, I've named my favorite tracks, and it's 3 tracks, and there's 7 tracks on this album, and it's 45 minutes long. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's half wow, I love this, I get it, and half completely in one ear and out the other for me.
Yeah.
And I wish I could connect with it in that way, but at the same time, like I know that those tracks aren't like what I'm looking for in music of this genre, you know?
Yeah.
And I think we'll get to what I am looking for in this genre later. So
Yeah.
there's some foreshadowing for you for all you bitches out there.
Yeah, I would be very interested if you I don't think I'm going to give it to you for next time, but if you ever do get around to, I would say either Moving Pictures by Rush or Hemispheres. Hemispheres is a little bit more story based, and it has some very banger tracks on it. That one I
You
would be
could
very interested to know how you feel about, specifically La Villa Strangiato, because that is a purely instrumental track that I think is one of the most like impressive technical pieces of music I've ever heard, because it's recorded all in one take
yeah,
and it's 11 something minutes long.
jeez.
And
You've
it
hyped me up
is
on Rush now
fucking
so much
beautiful.
that I would be down to check one if you ever wanted to throw one at me for the cast.
Definitely. I might I mean, Hemispheres is pretty short. It's like I think it's around 30. And it's 4 tracks. So it's 2 big boys and then 2 small ones in the middle.
Okay. I'm down for that.
Yeah, maybe I'll give that one to you next time.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So I personally, I've said most of why I like this album, but I like it because to me, I have a lot of fun with it. Like I think that the big elephant talk is a litmus test. I'll say that, because if you don't like that song, you probably won't be down for some of the other shenanigans on it. Because for as like technical and as measured and sort of out there as a track like Frame by Frame or In Discipline, or even Discipline, the title track is, they have a spirit of sort of exploration and experimentation that I really enjoy. Like, they feel very tight and anxious to me. Like specifically the song In Discipline, because it's about the creative process and hating something and not being sure how to feel about it. And like he's like talking about how he did everything he could. He's tried not looking at it for a while. He's not sure if he likes it. And then at the end of the song, the last lyric is him saying, "I think I like it. I do." And so he's just sort of acknowledging that. And it feels like a something cool about like the whole process of the album, because it is so different from what they normally make. It feels like something he probably had to think about for a while and be like, do I even like what we're doing right now? And then he's like, sure, why not? So it feels very playful and fun, and I guess jammy in a way that isn't like loose free form jamming, but more just them having fun with what they're making.
It is for sure playful. Like that is a good that's a good adjective for this album. Like it
Hmm.
is like a bunch of very technical people being very playful with their sound.
Yeah, especially throwing something as serious as a monologue about getting mugged while you're in shock. Like that could easily be thrown on something that's like like a harsh drone album, something
Yeah, for sure.
crazy, like something super dark. And instead they choose to put it over like Genji. Like it's so like it just feels like a looking at the world in a very fresh lens. And I think it's really good for that. All right, let's get into our albums now.
Ooh.
So we are going to be kicking it off with Special by Lizzo.
You're special, in case nobody made you believe. You're special, well, I will always love you the same. You're special, I'm so glad that you're still with us.
This was an experience.
This is truly, truly, earnestly, and I can't believe I'm saying this about a Lizzo record after having already discussed the King Crimson album. One of the most confounding listening experiences I have had in so long. I'm just completely baffled.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the albums of all time. It's just so it's so music. I don't know. I feel like I kind of for this one it almost might be worth it to briefly go song by song just because they are drastically different from
Yeah,
track to
like
track.
that's the overarching theme with this album is that the consistency is so all over the place.
Yeah, and we there is a as an Apple Music listener, I got a special message from Lizzo
I've
on the
been
back of
dying
this
to know what
album.
that is.
Yeah, so basically it's literally just like a message, like a minute and a half vocal like message from her saying like thank you for listening to the album. It was a labor of love, etc., etc. But the very interesting part was when she said, I wrote 170 songs for this album, and I picked the perfect 12 to bring to you because I felt like this was not only what I needed to hear, but you and the whole world needs to hear.
My jaw is on the floor.
When I heard that, I paused it. I couldn't keep going. I was
What?
like, huh? 170 and these?
I feel the need at this point to bring up the image that I sent you on Discord as I was listening to this, which is the Wikipedia. Like I screen capped Wikipedia of all of the number, like the it's like released for the sidebar at the top of the Wikipedia article for this album,
Mhm.
and it's like released, recorded, genre, length, label, producer, and there are, let me count them, 25 25 people credited
Oh,
as producer on this record,
dude.
on this 12 track 35-minute album. 25.
Genuinely no wonder why this album has an identity crisis.
What, like, where's her vision in this? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's there are some notable names in here, which is very funny. Max Martin is on here. I think most of his songs actually go over great. Um
LA
Terrace
Chris.
Terrace Martin is on here, bafflingly. Quelly Chris is on here, although I think that one is just credited because on the closer track, which we'll get to, the beat is the piano loop on the beat is from a Quelly Chris song, which is
Yeah.
hilarious on its own. Mark Ronson is on this album. John Bellion is alive, apparently. I haven't heard anything from him in like 10 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I kind of forgot he was a person.
Yeah,
Um,
me too. I haven't heard that name in years.
I clicked through to his Wikipedia article, and apparently the most recent thing he did was going on tour with 21 Pilots and Judah and the Lion, which is maybe the
Whoa.
I like some 21 Pilots music, and I think that is the show I want to be at least ever.
Yeah. I can't think of a place I would like to be less.
Do we want to go through this track by track?
I think so. I think we don't need to do the 72-minute Kendrick treatment, but as if there's enough to break down to fill that. But the biggest issue that I notice immediately is ironically the production because the opening track is just bizarre in so many ways.
The sign is flaccid. Like on a musical level, this song is like a half chub. It's crazy.
The bass has zero presence and the percussion is like nothing at all. It has no background or like no backbone at all. It's just the most like nothing burger song ever. And as an opener to like your big album to like solidify yourself in the spotlight, it's really strange. And the one bar, the the Tesla bar
A what? I
Um,
didn't even write that down. What? Don't need that energy, bitch. I'm a Tesla.
they literally do need energy. They're electric.
Oh my
I was like, "What's
god.
that? That bar is so bad. Like,
You could
why
even do this. Like, don't need anybody to gas me. I'm a Tesla. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you that it's right there. It's right there.
The addition of like the little harp behind the chorus is terrible too, because it's just so like the fact that you're adding one singular element for like 3 seconds every time the chorus comes up is so strange because then suddenly you're being tantalized with the idea that there might be more in this mix and there just isn't. And you're like, "Whoa, don't go, come back."
She opens the song with I'm gonna read this and it's gonna hurt me. Hi, motherfucker, did you miss me? I've been home since 2020. I've been twerking and making
Mm,
smoothies. It's called healing.
mm,
I have internal bleeding reading that
mm.
out loud. I am like I'm just I've been cut in half with like a samurai sword. It's
Yeah,
so bad. It's like this song and then she like randomly mentions like him doing me wrong at the end of this. It's like it's so like Lizzo branded capital C content. Like
yeah,
this song is like the reintroduction of the Lizzo brand. It's so sterile and lifeless. It's just not good. It's just
yeah.
bad.
Lizzo, not to say that Lizzo can't be herself, but I feel like every time Lizzo talks about twerking in like such a banal way, um,
It's the smoothies that really kills me in that.
yeah,
Like
the smoothies equal healing.
you can twerk and make smoothies. Like, yeah, sure, maybe that is healing, but like when you like pose like the act of twerking and making smoothies, which like maybe yes, it's kind of radical for like a fat black woman to reclaim that, but like twerking and making smoothies is the thing that every white girl from Westport, Connecticut, who shops exclusively at Urban, has been doing since fucking 2017. Like,
Yeah,
this is nothing. This is like this is
yeah.
just what people do.
When she did that, like that opening line, I was sitting there and I was like, maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe this album will be enjoyable and maybe I'll have a good time. Who knows? I felt like I had like a Mortal Kombat fatality happen to me. Like I just heard it and then I just sat back and I was like, "Oh no."
The drop of being home since 2020 also just flattens me. Like I fucking don't care. Like me
Yeah,
too. Like
and
I
I'm
know.
sorry that you were in your nice house making your expensive smoothies with your NutriBullet. Like it's that there
With
it
your
gives me the same energy as Ellen DeGeneres crying in her mansion, and then you can see like her landscaper in the background. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, it really is like, hi, I've been doing hashtag healing just like you, except I was like on vacation in the fucking Bahamas with my girl posse. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like
Hello, fellow traumatized teens.
and
How
then
goes it?
it goes into About Damn Time, which is like, oh my god, thank you. Like
Dude, it
fucking
was so refreshing.
like this song has blown up. You've everyone listening has probably heard this song. Like it's a Lizzo song. If you like Lizzo, you like this song. Like uh
I will say I feel like it's the one on the album that does deserve the hype the most.
oh yeah.
Like the production is like quite actually really good and
You
the lyrics are so much more substantive. It's just like
you know
there's so
me.
much more happening.
I'm always here for a little xylophone action. And when she says
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be okay, and there's like the little glockenspiel behind her. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good.
That's nice.
Um
And I think that the richness on the chorus, like when it kicks up is really, really effective.
yeah,
And
it's nice.
the little trumpet flourishes are solid too. It feels like a much more unified track than like basically anything else on the album, in my opinion.
I
Um,
do also want to say that this has some of the best like Lizzoisms on the album.
yeah.
Fucking opening the song with "It's bad bitch o'clock, it's thick 30" is like that's awesome. That's so good.
Thick 30
Uh,
was the one where I was like, more of this, please.
she calls her shoes her Balenciagas, which is just fucking
It's
that's so
funny.
good. Um, and she does a flute solo, which I feel like she does that at shows. Is there another Lizzo song with a flute solo in it?
I don't think so. She just does it on like carpool karaoke and live, and that's like it.
Maybe from her earlier stuff, because I've only heard coconut oil of her early stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know.
but yeah, I like the flute solo. It was fun. Terrace
Yeah.
Martin also credited as producer on this one.
Girls, the track Girls is like a total once again, we this time on Girls, we slide back down to just a total barren wasteland on the production front. Like it is there's nothing happening. The only good thing on this line, we both on this album is we both know what it is, the Lorena Bobbitt line.
I earnestly think that the verses on this song are not so bad. There's some besides the line, there's like some pretty good like her flow is fun, and I think the like her character on the verses is pretty good. But then the pre-chorus into the chorus section is just like what happened? Where did
Yeah.
that's my girl, we codependent is just
So
ugh,
awesome.
that's
I'm
bad.
glad that's good for you.
There's a part where she's just like so salute, and it just like grinds any momentum the song had to a stop, and then she
Yeah.
says, "That's my girl, we CEOs because we need more female CEOs," and
Yeah.
dancing like a CEO.
Dude.
No, guys.
I will say that this song, um, it kind of was the first time that I started to notice every time a song would end on Apple Music, I have, like, the lyrics scrolling by or whatever,
Mhm.
and, every time the song would end, it, like, pauses on the writer credits, and I was always amazed by how many writer credits there were.
Well, would you like to know why there's so many writer credits on this song?
Why is that?
Because the beat samples "Girls" by the Beastie Boys.
Oh.
Which is hilarious. Like that's hilarious for one thing, and that you turned that song into such like a complete flop of a beat because it like this is Benny Blanco produced this, and fuck Benny Blanco. It sounds so like just limp, just so limp. It's so bad.
It's really not good.
The line in question that we were talking is she says, "I'm gonna go Lorena Bobbitt on him so he never fuck again," which that's the woman who caused like a media frenzy for cutting off her like husband's dick.
Yeah,
It's just
she cut off his dick in the night, and he had to get it surgically reattached, and then he went on to have a very successful porn career.
so funny. That's such a like you could have put this line anywhere else on the album and it would have killed me just as hard, but the fact that it's on this shitty song just makes me sob.
Yeah, it's such wasted potential. It feels it that line almost feels Rico nasty-ish, which is funny considering
Yeah.
what's coming up. Um, yeah, I
How did you
the
feel about To Be Loved?
To Be Loved was the moment where I was like, "Okay, we're really trading off our production styles here." Like,
Yeah.
literally every other song is rich, you know?
Mhm.
It makes it feel truly like a collection of potential hits
Yeah.
rather than an album with any intent or ideas in it. Um, to Be Loved, it feels like the token kind of disco pop track,
Yeah.
but it really feels a couple years too late to me. Like, it feels like Can't Stop the Feeling era type shit. Like, this is something I would hear in 2015, you know what I mean?
I know that you're very sick of like 80s revival pop.
Yeah.
I liked this song, TBH. I thought this one was kind of a slapper. She's got a lot of personality on this. I love the key change at the end. I thought the backing vocals were hilarious, and I liked her vocal heights at the end. This really does just have Max Martin fucking all over it. Like it is.
Yeah.
This is him, and I'm okay with that. I like this one.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I think that Can't Stop the Feeling is produced by Max Martin as well.
Oh my god, is
Um,
it?
I think so. I feel like we should verify that.
It was actually produced by yes, Justin Timberlake, Max Martin, and Shellback.
How did I know?
Yeah, I wonder.
Um, yeah, but I'm sick of this kind of thing, so I'm biased against it, but I can definitely see why there would be a big appeal to it.
Uh-huh.
It's just I'm so sick of this at this point that I'm like, please move on, you know? Um, yeah, and then the next track was I just started getting really exhausted at that point. Next track is called I Love You, Bitch.
It's okay. The chorus feels like this extended joke that goes on just way too
Way too
long.
long.
And I'll give her props for the Repo Genetic Opera line. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, the immediate one for me on this was, you remember how you were saying for the sign, you were like, "This is the Lizzo brand TM?"
Yeah.
That's what this one felt like to me. Like, she's
Mhm.
leaning really hard into the brand of, like, sassy potty mouth, and it loses a lot of the actual songwriting in that regard. Like, it just
Yeah.
kinda ends up being a collection of one-liners rather than anything substantive.
Yeah.
Like, it's so overblown and not in, like, a good way. Like, the lines about, like, eating your veggies and fire nudies are just, like, very cringe to me.
That went in one ear and out the other. Does she really say fire nudies?
Mhm.
I'm
Um,
I'm going to hell. I'm
yeah.
done with this.
And then her doing little vocal runs at the end and being like for the line, "I love you, bitch," was just, like, a lot for me to take in.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is the one we're choosing to get Bladdock over, like, this is
Why
the one."
this is you wrote 170 songs and you picked this one.
I'm sure there were, like, 8 other songs that were in the same emotional vein, and we chose Fire and Nudies.
It's funny because like this we're shitting on this song, but this is like not nearly as bad as the album gets.
No, it's just cheesy in a very grating way that really did not it normally, I'm a big fan of the phrase "tickled" for good things.
Mhm.
This one itched.
Yeah, like you just have to do something about it.
Yeah, it's like I feel like there's bugs under my skin. Yeah, so for as far as the next one, like the sentiment on Special is very sweet. And I could see this one being like Some Kids is like Beautiful by Christina Aguilera for
Yeah.
which was what I liked in that vein as a kid. The production is nice on this one. It feels like it's very swelling and cute, but it also feels a little bit like it could be sans the cursing in like a kids movie as like the coming of age moment.
I I did kind of like this song. I think Max Martin and Lizzo are definitely kind of a match made in heaven for
Yeah, I
me.
think that this is one of the better ones on here for sure.
I think this song could be really cloying in the wrong hands, but she sells it with a lot of like emotion in the performance, especially on like the second verse where she's like, "How could you throw fucking stones if you hadn't been through her pain?" Like
Yeah,
that line could be nothing in another singer's hands, but she actually sounds like really steamed as
yeah,
she's delivering that
definitely.
line, and I think she sells it really well.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely can see this one becoming the next hit for people to like use. I don't know. I hate saying this, but I feel like it could be the next one that people use on TikTok to do like montages
I mean,
of
that's Lizzo.
people that they love. Like that's just
That's
kind of the way hits are made these days. But I could definitely see it being the next radio one. For Break Up Twice, I think that it's promising instrumentally.
yeah, that's Mark Ronson, all right, huh?
Yeah, the combo of, like, the rich guitar and the piano with
The
the hollow
brass.
percussion and, like, the kick gun on the chorus is nice as well, but it just never, like, hit a moment where I was like, "Yeah, this is really good." It stayed, like, okay, but it was
Yeah,
never like, "Whoa," you know?
it did get there by the end for me. Like it, you're right that this one definitely does. Like it's like, okay, we're still on this. Like
We're
it's,
still building, come on, come on.
yeah. I think when it does get there, the payoff is okay.
Yeah,
I definitely wish there was a little more like muscle and bass on the instrumental here, but
definitely.
I think it works. I like the Lauryn Hill sample too.
Yeah, and I am very interested in your thoughts on Everybody's Gay.
This fucking melted my brain. This is like, so for one thing, this song is like, people say that like The Weeknd is like trying to be the new Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
but this song is like so overbearingly Michael Jackson that it's like the only thing I can think about when I'm listening to it. Like
Mhm.
the blinding lights, like post facto, I can be like, yeah, that takes a lot of influence from Michael Jackson. But while I'm listening to it, I'm like, ah ha ha, I love this funny bum da 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 da. But this song, like, I can't think about anything else other than how much it sounds like Michael Jackson while I'm listening to this. And the lyrics are
Yeah.
brain rotting. Like,
They are
I
ham-fisted.
they are they're not even like they're not even ham fisted because I don't even know what the fuck they're saying. Like,
Yeah.
well, okay. I've seen absolutely no indication that Lizzo is queer. Like,
Yeah.
someone feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I know she has like a big fandom of like very young queer people, and like, okay, like, sure. Yeah, I'm on Wikipedia. Of my third Wikipedia trip of this episode, she later stated she considers herself an ally and, quote, leans heterosexual, but she calls her fans lesbians. Stop doing this. Just like fucking stop
Yeah,
doing this.
this is to me marketable pride gem, you know what I
Yes,
mean?
yeah, especially because it's no straight people at Pride, please. Like,
She's trying to be Madonna, I think.
I,
How Madonna is that, like, the gay icon, but she's straight, you know what I mean?
right, but
But, like, she also does, like
I'll also say Vogue. I have really complicated feelings about Vogue by Madonna because like I do like the song and I have to as a piece of like iconic like
gay
gay culture of
history.
the 80s, like I have to love that song. But like I don't love that song because of Madonna, you know?
Yeah.
And like the song on this song, like she's doing ballroom, right?
Yeah.
Ballroom's not for you. It isn't.
Yeah.
As a white trans woman, ballroom's not for me. Like
Yeah.
you cannot be doing this. Like you are not this space that you're talking about like celebrating is not for you. Like dance the
Not
night
your style,
away,
yeah.
everybody's gay. It, it, no, not everybody is. Like
Yeah, like, if her saying that is so strange because it's like, how are you observing this happening? You are not part of the everybody that is gay. Are you just, like,
then
voyeuristically watching this? Like, what's happening?
later in the song, she's like, the Mister got a monster too, and then the ad lib goes, big dick. And it's like, okay, you're just being hetero on the gay song. What are you
Yeah.
doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, I think
It's
that there is an
dumb.
interesting, like, instrumental moment towards the end where it gets a little, like, vampy, but
Eh.
then it just makes me think about Thriller a little bit.
Yeah, like it's
Um,
nothing Michael Jackson though.
yeah, exactly, and I think that there's, like, 2 moments on the song where I'm like, "Okay, that's fine," like, but even then, they're so tenuous, like, I don't mind her the whole, like, the purr bitch thing, but at the same time, it feels very much like kind of the attitude of it is unwarranted. Like it feels very like I'm here, I'm taking up space, like everybody's gay, we're here kind of thing. But that's not yours.
The comments, yeah, like you don't get to say that. Like a gay
Yeah.
person can say that. You can't say that.
And it's
You're
so self-assured and it's so passionate that I'm like, where is this coming from?
not everybody is gay because you're not. Like,
Yeah,
bro, I'm on Genius right now, and the comments on this make me want to kill people. Would you like me to read the 3 comments on this?
absolutely.
The first one says, "Is this going to be the next LGBT? Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji." I assume that's a song.
The next
I
LGBT.
think they think
I
Lizzo
like
is the
that.
next LGBT.
She is the gay and the gay of all time.
Uh, Someone else says, "Best song in the album since the release of the track list." Okay, but now that I can
Mm.
hear it, dot dot dot, period. Which
Oh, that's
that's
funny.
just not how that word is used. And then the one that the one that just absolutely kills me is just yes, they is. And this person's icon is some K-pop girl that I've never seen before in my entire life with like 3 Snapchat filters on her. Like she has like the baby face one with the blush cheeks and the dog like ears, and it says Yas on it. And like that person is the target audience of this song. Like
Yeah.
that is who this song is directed towards. I fucking hate it. I can't do this. I can't talk about this song anymore. And
Dude,
then
that one into Naked.
they followed up with the best song in the album. What?
You're kidding.
How do you do that? If she made a full record of songs like this, I would be all in 100%. Like, just do this. Just do
I
it.
did not like this album. I didn't like the song at all.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I thought it
Wow.
was okay instrumentally, but like you remember how you were talking about with Tim Bernardes, how you were like, I can't get behind a song that's supposed to be sexy?
I didn't think the song was really that sexy.
I thought that this was very to me it was very obviously like supposed to be like the sex jam on the album.
I guess.
Like it's supposed to be like I'm feeling myself, like she's talking about like being confident in herself and having like this guy like be there and be like accepting of her or whatever, and it's like make me feel like good while I'm naked, you know what I mean? But it feels so out of place on this album.
It
Like
does
there's
feel out of
no
place.
other slow songs here really, and having like a really like pretty blatantly explicitly sensual song on here is like very strange to me. It feels very like unaware of what the target audience is for her stuff. like there's not enough really production wise happening to convince me that it's actually like attractive or passionate in many ways. So it just kind of to me ends up feeling like a very ham-fisted, I'm going to say it again, another like ham-fisted kind of love yourself, like be confident kind of like thing. I just didn't, I thought it was very bland.
That I'm surprised, honestly. I thought this was easily her best vocal on the album.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
her vocals are okay.
B, easily the most like genuinely emotional like body positivity moment on the album. Like she has a lot of that, obviously, in a lot of her music, but like in terms of like having genuine feeling behind that like expression, this is definitely like in her career, this is where I think she's hit that the hardest. The end of the song is enormous in a way that I found like way more authentic and emotionally fulfilling than some of the like really huge moments on her first album. Cause like Because I Love You is a song that's like the size of a building, but like it gets that by compressing the shit out of everything, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought like the instrumental was able to breathe and be that big and know like without being like obstructed by the production. And then I really like some of the lines like love how you look at me naked, come make this body feel sacred. And then I've seen every part of me and I can't erase it. If I get on top of you, do you promise to embrace it? I thought was like just like clever ways to put the sentiment of this song and like delivered really well. I think this is the best song in the album, TBH.
I personally I didn't get that. I think that what it is that her brand, she has worked so hard on this album to cement her brand TM like as sassy like I said, sassy potty mouth kind of thing that she likes to do. Like she's like, "Ooh, did I say that?" Teehee kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this feels so drastically wrong on here to me that I can't take it as seriously as she wants me to. And
This
it feels like it could be a premonition of something that would be good to come on a full album that's elaborated on a little bit
Right.
more.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
as a track there, I'm just like so dumbfounded by it that I can't accept it for what it is really. And the lyrics that you were talking about, I do see as being some of the more nuanced lyrics on the album, but at the same time, in her catalog, I agree this is notable, but in the grand scheme of songs that do this,
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
it feels very like it feels underwhelming. There's some slack in it still, and it just doesn't hit the way that I would like.
I will give you that in the grand scheme of things, yes, this song has been done before, but like it's kind of a trick as old as time at this point, and I'm fine with like I don't mind like that this song exists in that space now. Like it's not like doing anything wrong in that space to me. As far as the like this should be foreshadowing for something else and is not, I also 100% agree with you there. Like this is the emotion that the brand is built upon, right? Like the brand would not be able to be quote quote convincing and marketable if this emotion didn't exist somewhere underneath it, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the bedrock on which marketable Lizzo is built. And I wish that there was more. You're right. I wish that there was more of genuine Lizzo peeking through like this rather than Lizzo satisfying her shareholders by saying this and then going, "Teehee, did I say that?" You know?
Yeah. This track feels like a fluke. That's the issue for me.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that. But I'll take it for what it is,
Speaking
I guess.
yeah, speaking of marketable, Birthday Girl sounds like a Kohl's commercial.
I do not. I I don't think I've ever skipped a song when I listen to an album for the first time for this podcast. I don't think I've ever
Mhm.
done that. I clicked skip halfway through this one because I understood it was going nowhere. Like
Yeah.
I did not come back to this. I like this is a failure from the start. Just do not collect $200. Do not pass go. Just you've
No, you go to
completely
jail.
just fucked from the jump. You've done nothing here.
Yeah, I was listening to this album with a friend because I needed the moral support. And he was like, "Is it over? Can I skip this? Like, can we be done? Do we have to finish it?" Like, this song really was the straw that broke the camel's back for me.
I do just want to note that this was produced by a production team called the Monsters and Strangers that I've never heard of in my
What
entire
the
life.
fuck?
And their production roster includes Maroon 5, Camila Cabello, Halsey, Nick Jonas, Liam Payne, Katy
Mm.
Perry, Pitbull, Britney Spears, Dua Lipa, Demi Lovato, Jason Derulo, Big Sean, and BB Rexha, which are some of the worst produced pop artists that I could possibly come up with off the top of my
Suddenly,
head.
this makes a lot of sense.
Like if you ask me to name like top 40 artists with horrible production, I would probably say like BB Rexha, Jason Derulo, Demi Lovato, Pitbull. Like that's what
Yeah.
would pop into my head. Like
They're gonna
great.
pick up Charlie Puth soon. Mark my words.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This and then If You Love Me completely passed me by.
Yep, I've forgotten what that one sounds like completely.
Exactly. It's just you finish Birthday Girl and you're just like, I need a break. I'm gonna zone out. And then we've come back to the Immaculate.
Oh my god.
And when I say immaculate, I do mean Immaculate Conception. This is a gift from God.
This is a virgin birth because nobody will ever fuck to this.
And also, this has to have been like, how did this happen?
What was the conception process for this song like? There was no
Yeah.
like romance involved in the creation of this. Like this was
No.
like a one and done in a back alley. And or this song just sprung fully formed out of Zeus's head. Like those
Exactly,
are the two
like-
options.
So we have to elaborate on what we're saying. This is the closer track that we have preordained earlier in the episode,
It is-
called Coldplay,
It is titled Coldplay.
and
which
you will never guess
the
what it
fear
does.
turning this album on and then it being so up and down in quality and so like all over the place and seeing that the last song is called Coldplay just struck the fear of God in me. Just like
Me too.
what is going to happen on this? And what happens on this song is a Quelle Chris piano beat loop with accompaniment from a sped up like TikTok style sample of Yellow by Coldplay.
It's
which-
like pitch shifted up to Lizzo's register.
This is asinine. And
Yeah.
have you heard the new song by Fivio Foreign and the Kid Leroy? I do not remember what it's called. It's called Paris to Tokyo, and it samples that one song, Far East Movement Rocketeer, which is the one where Ryan Tedder from One Republic goes, fly.
Oh my god.
And it like samples that and flips it into a drill beat. And like
Whoa.
that is the exact same thing that's happening here. Like this song, Yellow like Coldplay is not that old of a song. Like
Dude, this is like the polar opposite of crate digging. Like you take a track that literally everybody knows and bastardize it, and it's just confusing instead of like giving something new life that never got the chance. You know what I mean? That is bizarre.
I don't even think the song is like that bad. Like, how do you do that? How do you like put a pitched up Chris Martin vocal over a Quelle Chris beat, and then the song is just like whatever? Like, it's nothing
Yeah.
special.
That's almost more impressive.
How did you do that? I don't understand. Bizarre choice of closer.
Oh,
bizarre,
definitely.
bizarre choice of like song to make. He wrote 170 songs, and this is the
Yeah.
one you put on here.
Dude,
I don't
the
know.
idea of putting a song as a closer that you technically are like 1/3 of a part of on your own album is really funny to me.
I mean,
Like,
that's rap and R&B generally. Like,
but
there's always
that's
gonna
not
be
her.
something.
That's like that's almost not her brand. She's like pretty solidly, even when she does rap, it's like pop rap, you know? Like she's never been that person to me.
I can't get behind that criticism, honestly. But like, it's still like this is such a. The song has all of these insane elements that like if you locked Laura Les and Dylan Brady in a room and said, I need you to make me a song that samples both Quelle Chris and Coldplay, go. You would get something batshit. You
Yeah.
would get something batshit, and this is just nothing. Like, how do you
Yeah.
do that? That's impressive.
Oh god. Yeah, no, that one was really the baffling icing on the cake. It was just like completely confounding in just this cosmic way, and I just had no idea what to do with it.
Yep, sounds like nothing, but is extremely confusing. Drop it.
Yeah. So that's the album.
Yeah. I don't know how the songs that are good on this album coexist with fucking The Sign and Girls and the Kohl song. It's like there was absolutely no
The
QA on
Kohl
this
song?
album. There's no QA on this album. I don't
No.
understand. Like how she is such a strong thing, right? Like a thing that she does,
Yeah.
and then just not do it for like 75% of your album. It's
Yeah.
so baffling. I don't
It's just
understand.
strange, and it's additionally just really, really just so weird because like I said, there's no intent here. None of these link up, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's so weird that she chose to use such disparate tracks out of those 170. Like you could have had I'm sure that there were more of those that were written in like similar time periods and like headspaces that would have made more sense together and would have given the album some semblance of flow, but the
yeah.
sequencing is like, what the fuck is happening?
It's throwing darts at the board to see what will pop off in 3 months. Like it's
Exactly.
so strange.
And it does feel slightly vindicating in some way that to this day on Apple Music, the only one with a star is About Damn Time. Like nothing else has hit really. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I don't want her to fail. Like,
Like she is like a refreshing personality to be in pop music. Like
yeah,
she has
exactly.
way more character than like as much as I am okay with some Dua Lipa songs, like Dua Lipa has no personality. She doesn't exist.
No. Even performing on stage is she's just like a little robot.
Yeah, like Lizzo is like a person up there. And
Yeah,
it's sad to hear her come out with an album like this.
exactly, which is why I'm glad almost that this is not being received too well because hopefully it reminds her of what made her exciting
Right.
and why people listen to her. It's not for hits necessarily, it's for her personality,
Yeah. This is a
and that's being
massive
completely overshadowed.
it's just a step down in every way from Cause I Love You. Like there's
Oh,
just
for
nothing.
sure.
There's nothing as good as the songs on that album.
Mhm. So, yeah, that's our thoughts on this. Um,
Wow, we kind of went off on that one
yeah, a little bit of a bummer on that, but, sometimes you just have to talk about Lizzo for 40 minutes
for the content.
for the content. All right, so we are going to move on to our next one, which is going to be Jaywood with Slingshot.
Ah, this was fun.
This
He's
is
got
swanky.
he's got like this really like malleable, washed out, dreamy sound that lets him
Exactly.
like put together a lot of different genres pretty subtly and still like keep it under the like bedroom pop psychedelic funk. Yep, that's what this is. But actually
Yeah.
there's like a lot going on in here. And he's good at like keeping the songwriting snappy without being like overbearing or overly clever. Like he can be really cute or really pointed on this album and none of it
Yeah.
feels out of place.
There was like I think like one really minute where I was like, this is a little bit long, which was the song Kitchen Floor. But
Yeah,
other
that was
than
also I
that,
felt the same way.
yeah, other than that, I felt like this really did a good job with using the limited sort of instrumental palette that it had, which is pretty much like guitar, drum, synth, bass,
Yeah,
to make some actually very distinct and recognizable songs.
yeah,
I think that really him being able to place the synths and everything in different areas of the tracks is keeping it fresh. Like the opening track is very swanky in that it has those high synths and really smooth like sliding ones and then choppy percussion. It keeps it
yeah.
very like jarring and exciting. And then we move on to a really funky track where the guitar is really, really strong. And then we go on and there's a big synth bop, which is like mostly synth. And then we go on and as you go on, there's more bass, stuff like that. Like it really does feel like he's taking the time to focus in on elements one at a time, which is allowing it to have its own identity.
I really like the way on this album how he's often able to sound like climactic, funky, and kind of like maximalist
Hmm.
without the songs ever actually being like loud or in your face. Like
Yeah.
these songs definitely like reach crescendos and like lock into grooves and are willing to like funk out for a little bit. That was the whitest thing I've ever said.
You can funk out for a bit.
But like I like putting on my nerd glasses.
Yeah, nerd emoji.
But like they do like they let themselves into grooves. They get like boisterous and energetic, but it's never ever, I guess loud is the only way to put it. Like it's
Mhm.
never over the top. It's always like very like
Floaty.
restrained. He always comes off as very cool on this
Mhm.
album.
Yeah, and I think that the one track that really epitomized that for me, well, there were a couple, but the first one that I was like, this is telling me all I need to know about the sound of the album, is the track "Is This True?"
Yeah.
It kind of gives you a real scope of all the different sounds the album can go for. It takes the bass and it strips it down and makes it much more restrained, and then the drums get sort of reedy, and that really lets the synth take hold, and it kind of bathes you in this like mist of sound. It's very, very pleasant. It's just
Yeah.
nice.
The riff on that on Is It True? Like there's like this little beepy synth riff is
Mhm.
like absolutely killer. Like it was stuck
Yeah.
in my head for like an hour after I listened to this album. Like that was the one. Like that was the riff that got stuck in my head. But when you listen to the track, it's kind of like buried in the mix. Like it's a really, really good riff, but he doesn't like draw attention to it, you know? Like he just puts it in
No.
there and like it'll worm its way into your brain, but like it won't slap you in the face when it needs to. Like it'll
No, it's
yeah,
supportive.
it's really good. A really subtle synth riffs are a very happy place for my brain. It feels like a little comfortable
Mhm.
home for me to wiggle
I
into.
agree.
I'm a gay little creature.
I think Shine is the best at earning its
Also
length.
spectacular song, really, really good.
There's a run of Kitchen Floor, Shine, and Tulips where it's like they're 5 minutes average, like 5.5 minutes
I did
average.
fall off Tulips as well, you're right.
Yeah, and as it was coming up, I was like, "Okay, I don't know how these are gonna hold." But I think that Shine is really it's the epitome of earning the length on this album. I just said that the song is swag, that I don't really know how else to describe it. It's just got a lot of energy and a lot of groove to it.
There's
I
a
think the beat and the drum quality and the feature add a lot too.
there's a fun quality of this album that comes up a couple times on God is a Reptile, which is probably my other favorite track on the album.
Mhm.
If you wanna like if you're thinking about this record but you're on the fence, check out God is a Reptile. And if you like that, you like the rest of this, no problem. Shine, one, the sax performance is fucking great. And
Yeah.
two, the quality that I really like about this song and God is a Reptile is that there's a surprising amount of like white noise in the mix that like fades
Mhm.
in and kind of like shrouds the whole mix in like this weird like
Definitely.
jungle mist like on the cover. Um and yeah, like you were saying, the guest spot on this great placement of McKinley Dixon. I don't know like a rapper I would have rather had on this song. He fits the vibe perfectly. He delivers a verse that like topically matches what Jaywood was saying earlier. It's he just does a really really good job of like keeping the energy, bringing his own thing to it, and then dipping when he needs to.
Mhm.
If any of you listeners out there have not heard McKinley Dixon's album For My Mama and Anyone Who Looked Like Her, def check that one out if you like T-Pab or anything in that like very jazz influenced rap vein. If you like More Mother's Jazz Codes from last episode, you'll be into that. It's really good.
Yeah, so that's basically what I have to say about this album. It's not like the most groundbreaking thing in the world, but what it does really, really well.
Yeah,
And there are definitely some certifiable like bangers and bops on this that you're gonna want to be jamming in the car this summer.
shout out to Just Saying and Thank You, which I have not mentioned yet. Thank You is a really good like
Yeah, definitely.
Stevie Wonder type banger.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is nothing groundbreaking. It's another one of those ones where like talking about it is really easy because what's good about it is just right there. Like you'll hear it on the first
Yeah,
try. It's also a good one
definitely.
that's like it's really cohesive. Like this is a good like work album if you need something. Just like throw it on loop while
Oh, for
you're
sure.
writing or drawing or something.
Yeah, and it stays in a pretty similar register the whole
Yep.
time, so there's nothing that's gonna like take you out of
Yeah,
it. It's just a really nice smooth
it's got
ride.
a vibe. Yeah, you want to move on to the next one?
Yes, ma'am. So next album is going to be beabadoobee with Beatopia.
When I'm feeling all alone, I know you thought it was just us. I didn't think you'd fall in love. You're just a body to hold. I like when you're feeling all alone.
Holy crap.
I have logged on to be the Beabadoobee defender on this podcast before. But this is like another one of those records where I was a little worried about it going in, but went in
Mhm.
expecting to generally like it, and then was completely surprised by the ways in which I liked it.
Exactly. I honestly didn't expect anything out of it because I don't know much of her other than very general, like, features that I've heard of hers. But off the heels of beabadoobee's appearance on Silver in Terrain by Luna Lee, which is one of, like, my favorite pop songs of the year, she added so much to that song, and I love her over that, like, heavier, kinda grimier, more moody, atmospheric instrumental. I was really hoping to hear her approach some more of that rock sound, and here we are. She, like, heard my cries, and she made what I wanted. This album has, like, a some really true, like, alternative and lo-fi sensibilities that, like, contribute greatly to the sound of it. The vibe is really intimate and homemade and very sincere, and in a lot of areas, her soft vocals, like, highlight those features, and it's just a great foil. It really makes them shine brighter.
I'm kind of laughing to myself as you're describing this because I think everything that you're saying about this album applies even harder to Fake It Flowers. I think that one has like way more of those like surprisingly grungy, dark 90s alt moments. Like if that's what you're looking for from her, you'll get that like with Fake It Flowers. This record covers a lot of territory. Like
It
this
definitely
is
does.
way more eclectic than Flowers. The primary mode that this thing is on is like 90s early 2000s revivalism, like so like played like arrow straight from top to bottom. It's like marriage love letter to that sound.
Mhm.
It's
There's one track in particular called "Talk" that is so Avril Lavigne flavored.
yeah.
But I like that it gives her voice some space to occupy some other vocal range other than, like, the really soft
Yeah,
space that she was in for a lot of this. It let it be a lot heavier.
besides the like increased synth focus on this one, that was the biggest change for me coming from Fake It Flowers, where she's
Mhm.
going to be like more and more of a charismatic vocalist. Like she could totally be mistaken for fucking Vanessa Carlton on here at some points. Like there was a moment on I think it was Tinkerbell, where I was like
Tinkerbell is overrated.
yeah, where I think she was like I was like, wow, she kind of sounds like Vanessa Carlton. Um,
Hmm.
there are also moments where she does remind me of Sarah Midori Perry from Kara Kara Benito, which
Yeah,
is
I see
which is
that.
very funny because Biba Doobie is one of those singers whose British accent just disappears when she sings. But then when she
Yeah,
speaks on this album, she's so British. It's really funny.
yeah. I think I liked a lot of the production tricks on this
Oh
too.
yeah, really nicely produced record.
Like the track Ripples is really, really sweet, and the string in the left channel that, like, spreads to both for the swell at the chorus, like, in the end, it's really warm. Like, it really does spread like a ripple. It's just that's a really cute track. It reminds me a little bit of the song Mia off the new Snail Mail, but just like it does have a little bit more of a dynamic production edge to it, which I think is a really, really strong uh boon for it.
It's really uncharacteristic of me to pick a ballad as my favorite track on an album like this, but yeah, Ripples
Mhm.
is my favorite song on this album.
Ripples is
This song
awesome.
is so
And
pretty. It's like the string work and guitar work are both gorgeous, and the lyrics are really nice too.
yeah, and I noticed the production kind of stuff also on Fairy Song, because Fairy Song really it devolves into this kind of lo-fi cacophony at some point, and then it
Yeah.
resolves into this really, really floaty, like jangly ending that I think is really super cool. And I think that the fact that it's able to dissipate like that and remain powerful and also feel like it fits with the rest of the album, even with those ballads in there, is I think a really good indicator of how cohesive the production style here is.
Every song is really charming. It has that really strong like 90s pulse that we were talking about. That
Mhm.
is the one that I noted as being the most similar to something that could have been on the first album. So I think you have a date with Fake It Flowers in your future. Um,
Perhaps I do.
Don't Get the Deal is also another one that's like the guitars are so slamming and noisy. There's like the call and response
Mhm.
vocal. The chorus is so snappy. And then it's the second moment on this album after the perfect pair where she has a Biba Doobie bossa nova moment.
Yeah, I was like, Biba do okay, I was like, "This is bossa nova." Like, it's so interesting. I like the drums on it a lot, and, like, there's, like, a male voice that duets in this, and it's
Um,
so, so
that's
subtle
actually
in the
her
left track.
her co-writer and producer for most of this album, Jacob something or other. I forget his name.
Good job, Jacob, because it adds a lot of dimension. And I was like, I found myself like craning for it to hear it better because it's like I was so invested in the sound of the song. I just wanted to like absorb all of it.
When the last chorus on "Don't Get the Deal," it cuts like the last chorus kicks into like this really driving outro, and then it just cuts, and it's such a
Yeah.
tease. I was so ready for the song to just blast off, and then it just stops. Maybe
Mhm.
they'll do it live. Who knows?
Yeah. I I also really liked Broken CD.
It was
I
cute.
thought that the like instrumental kick in was really natural and smooth, and I came away with the feeling that the album was very welcoming. Like we're talking about it being like lo-fi and kind of grungy in some areas, but for as much as we're saying about that, it is never too heavy to be like repelling or in
Yeah,
any way. It's very warm and welcoming and in even in the lo-fi and more rock sensibilities that it has, it's still soft and it still has
there
curves, you
there are
know?
some very sparkly songs on this as well that definitely like
Yeah.
will give you that shot of like pure sugar. Like 1036
Yeah.
throws me back to listening to Sirius XM Alt Nation in 2016. Like that's what it sounds
Yeah.
like. There's so much of like the silly radio indie that I loved around that time.
Yeah, and even the closer track, I think it's like "You're Here, That's the Thing." That one's much more like balladic kinda too.
That song is so funny. I really like that song. It's really sweet and cute. And like just sexy enough that like it's very very like compelling. But
Yeah.
it's so it's a little bit Randy Newman, "You Got a Friend in Me," which is now a recurring theme on the
Yes, I
podcast.
noticed that.
Uh, and also it's like combining that with fucking like Nora Jones, like late early 2000s Nora Jones, which is so funny.
Yeah.
Like that's such a wild like musical like line to draw in your head, and it's very like that's very quirky and charming to do. I thought it was very cute.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also loved Sunny Day, which was like that is the Sheryl Crow moment on the album.
Yeah.
There's like the funny little like there's like a light trip hop beat on there. I think she could totally lean into that more if she wanted to. Like
Yeah.
the tougher like more dissonant songs on this album prove that she can like work in that space. And I'd love to hear her try it with synths. Like I think that would be really fun.
Mhm. The last song that I would like to mention is, funny enough, is "Pictures of
Yeah,
Us,"
that's the last one I wanted to talk about too.
because "Pictures of Us," it sounds like a worship song to me. It's a little bit funny because it mentions God in it, like someone making her believe in God, something or other, and, as I was listening to it, I was like, "That's so funny because I feel like I could sing along to this in church."
Okay, I'm gonna send you an image. I actually can't believe that we had different things to talk about on this album because I'm actually going to say we should put a cut in the podcast right here,
Okay.
and I'm going to have you listen to the song again for like 35 seconds, and then I'm gonna send you an image. All right, so we've just come back and listened to the first 30 seconds of "Pictures of Us" by beabadoobee. Maybe I'll make a little clip of that for us to drop in here.
Mhm.
And here I'm gonna send you the image.
Yep. That's exactly what I thought you were gonna
This
send me.
this
This
song
is Beabadoobee American
this
football.
song flattened me. I laughed when the guitar riff on this song came in. I like had to like I was crying laughing. I was in the car with my girlfriend. Actually, no, my girlfriend had gotten out of the car, so I was just in the car with my brother, and I was laughing so hard because this song it literally is never meant by American football.
Yes.
Like it's the riff is like it's not that riff, but it's so close.
The tuning is so there, and, like, the notes are, like, so close,
And
and it's
then
like,
it's
"Ooh."
but I don't even here's the thing is that I don't even
I don't
mind.
mind
Yeah,
it.
because this album is such a love letter to like the late 90s and early 2000s that putting this in here like yeah, of
It just
course
makes
it
sense.
has to be
Mhm.
here. And like then she eventually like halfway through the song it does like more beabadoobee-ish instruments kick in. It becomes more indie pop, but like it's so funny that like
I
yeah
don't know how I didn't hear that the
just
first time, that's so
just
funny.
dropping never meant by American football in the middle of
Yeah,
your fucking album, and
that's so good.
Maddie Healy is on background vocals on this song,
Oh my
which just
god, yeah, when
kills
you
me.
and you called that.
Oh yeah, I heard him. I'll admit, okay,
Yeah.
I'll admit I had a little bit of, there was a bit of an educated guess because he co-wrote her last EP, the whole thing, and I
Okay.
fucking hated it. Like, because
Okay.
I'm the Fake It Flowers defender, and then somewhere last year she had an EP that I don't even remember what it's called. It's called Our Extended Play. That's what it's called.
Okay.
It's just 4 songs, and it's beabadoobee. Everything is co-written by Maddie Healy. And I hate every song on it.
That checks out.
But like Matthew Healy does also have a co-writer credit on this one, but it doesn't sound like a Maddie Healy song, you know, like it
Yeah.
has her fingerprints more all over it. And the fact that it's just doing American football like also covers up his influence, I think.
Oh my gosh. Well, this album I would say is definitely one to check out.
Yeah, this is
I thought that it was really, really sweet and I had a great time listening to it.
I didn't expect this to land up near the top with my favorite albums of the year so far, but it definitely did. And this is not a missable one if you're into any kind of indie pop or indie rock.
Yeah, and this is definitely, like I said, it's welcoming to all people. Like, no matter what you like, I feel like you'll find something on
Yeah,
this.
for sure.
Okay, let's move on to our next album, which is going to be Quinn with Quinn.
Just please don't waste my time. I don't got nowhere to be actually, I just like my own time. Just please don't waste my time. Please don't waste my time, man. Please don't. Mama said the life I live is just the life of a man. Except the gender change just wasn't part of the plan. I'm in a new place, I'm in a new light.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so this one, I will say I don't have a whole lot to say about this, just because it's a very demo-y album. I think that the track "Please Don't Waste My Time" has a really nonchalant edge that I'm really into.
Yeah.
The chorus feels really smooth in conjunction with like the tougher verses, and the tempo change on Two Door Tiffany is awesome. I noticed that was the like header track on the Bandcamp, but I will say that the track "Been a Minute" is like Dijon as hell. Like when I
Oh
was
yeah.
listening to it, I was like, this feels like Dijon. And I liked Warm and Fuzzy. I thought the beat was good. That's basically all I have to say about this. The sound was neat. It's not something that I would come back to all the time, but as far as I know, we mostly added this to talk about the person behind it.
Yeah.
The lady herself, Quinn.
Before we do that, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about Quinn herself because that's kind of the point of what I want to say about
It's the
this.
point, yeah.
But I also really like Please Don't Waste My Time. I think this is one of the best Kevin Abstract songs that Kevin Abstract never wrote.
Yeah.
The use of the pitched up vocals as like her inner voice is super good. The
Yeah.
beat is totally groovy with like the keys doing most of the work, and there's like a Daft Punk ass outro on this I thought was really fun. I
Mhm.
also really like the tempo change on Tudor Tiffany when it kicks into like that kind of like Latin guitar line at the end. I thought that
Yeah,
effect was
yeah.
great. I also really liked the twofer Rare John into O. Um,
Mhm.
and like when this tape is on, it's kind of where I'd like to hear if you fused Kevin Abstract and TK Maidza. Like this song has like a lot of like it has really nice, like well-written bars, these creative, like kind of peppy, like groovy beats with nice guitar performances. I really like the lines. Uncle always told me, for you got to go through the trials, you got to understand the evidence, close out your circle, get rid of all the squares. I thought that was funny. Going through some
Yeah, that's
shit, then
funny.
you might need a hand. If you're scared or shy, understand. My brother always told me, tried to get me to be the man, but it's not exactly who I am. My gender has some other plans. That's fun.
Yeah.
And then I actually really liked I've heard that song before, which is the second to last track. Really good guitar lines. Chipmunk vocals can be really annoying, but I think if you put a really good guitar line under them, I can really, really like them. And I like the gang vocals on this song also. I thought they were fun.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right. Like I saved a couple songs. I'm never gonna come back to this full thing. Why would I? It's
Yeah.
really demo-y. Like it's a 32. It's a 32-minute album, and there's only like 32 minutes, 16 tracks, and there's only like 6 actual songs on it, and the rest is like beat sketches, studio chatter, a freestyle here and there, an instrumental, like a piece of like a sample, I See You, which just fucking flattened me. That track is like it's just like a minute of her just like, I'm gonna fuck your wife. I'm gonna be in your house. I'm gonna
I'm gonna eat your string
I'm
cheese.
breaking into your fridge. I'm gonna eat your string cheese. Look behind you. See that spot? I was standing right there as I fucked your wife. It's so funny. Um,
It is very good.
that was really good. That was very funny. But like, yeah, I don't understand the like rapturous critical reception this has been getting at all. Like,
Yeah.
there's like a billion projects out there from random teens that sound like a lot like this. And
Yeah.
it's not that this is like, not that this is bad or anything. It's definitely not. There's a few fun songs, and like I think she's talented, and I definitely think that this says like, yeah, you have legs. You'll develop as an artist, sure. But like,
Mhm.
do you have anything to say? I have shit to say. Do you have anything to say before I explode myself?
Kind of. I mean, I would just say that this is like very it is, as we've had many times on this podcast, it is an album marked by potential. Like there is a lot that could be elaborated on, and that is how it feels to me. This feels like a marker of a moment in time where they had these ideas and she wanted to put this out and be like, this is where I'm at, whatever. But it doesn't feel like this is a thesis of any kind, really. Like this isn't like, despite it being a self-titled, it doesn't feel like this is like, this is who I am as an artist. I'm going to stay
Yeah,
here. You know what I
her
mean?
ethos feels very that. She has about like 30 something different aliases that she releases like all different kinds of things under. She's like very categorically evasive and also just like personally evasive. Like she doesn't like to be photographed
Yeah.
or interviewed, and she puts her stuff out on like different under different names on different platforms so that people won't like gravitate and obsess over it.
Yeah. So I think that for someone to really grab at this and expect more like this is a little bit dishonest to the ethos of the album and what it really is doing. And also, I think it's a little bit unhelpful to the artists themselves because even aside from just people being transient in general and being able to change and adopt new ideas, this is a 17-year-old girl.
We
Like,
didn't That's the best thing that we didn't mention, is that this is a 17-year-old girl living on a military base somewhere, like in the fucking random ass
she
states.
she should have full license to do whatever the hell she wants. And I think that, I mean, as much as I appreciate like Pitchfork giving a voice to smaller artists, the idea of really going in and saying a lot of very assumptive kind of personal things about her and about what she's doing.
7.9, by the way.
7.9. It feels unwilling to budge. You know what I mean?
She has this really toxic, insane, borderline stalkery fandom that springs up around her music whenever she drops something. And
Yeah.
that's what I don't understand, is that there's 5 million other artists I could get this exact same album from. And I feel like her existence as a black trans 17-year-old like is at least partially contributing to that, right? Like there has to be some
Yeah.
kind of like, you are the fucking second coming, like racial and like transphobic like angle to that. Like people, it is largely like white teenagers that are doing this to her. Like it's
Yeah.
bizarre. Leave her fucking alone. That she's
Yeah, I do feel like there might be some angle to this, like the fact that there are so many marginalized people making hyperpop, stuff like that, where some of the people who are there, it's almost like immediately, oh, a trans person is making hyperpop. I am validating
yeah,
this person. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's not really in acknowledgement of any real skill or talent, which Quinn does have, but that's not at the forefront of
right.
these reviews.
Yes, that's the thing. Like the attention about Quinn, it can't be on the music because there's not that much music here. Like
Yeah,
it's 7 songs, 4 of which are pretty good. Like it's good music, but there's just not that much here to talk about.
yeah.
How is this an 8.0 pitchfork.com?
This is a sketchbook.
Yes, like I said when I said this is like this is the equivalent. We're both artists. This is the equivalent of us drawing anime girls in our sketchbooks at age 14. Like this
Yeah.
is what musicians do in place of that, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't understand. Like imagine if that imagine if how many plays does the most played track on this song on this have? Most played track on this is Two Door Tiffany with 170,000
Oh my god.
plays. Imagine if 170,000 people saw you drawing Sakura from Naruto at age 17 in your high school geography textbook. Like,
Ugh,
that's what this
I would
is.
feel so
That's
suffocated.
what this is. And now imagine being a black trans woman while this is
Yeah.
happening. Like, it's so, like, it's perverse. It's
And
creepy.
that's the thing is I can't even venture to imagine what that feels
Yeah.
like because it's just
It's
like it's so out of the realm of what anybody in that position should
It's
have to deal
so,
with.
so, so bizarre. There's a Pitchfork Rising interview with her that's like up on the website now, and I have not read it because I don't want to know anymore. It's so strange the attention that this artist gets. Before we
Yeah.
move on, because I don't really have anything else to say, shout out to the fucking robot man on the cover. My friend Yakov had one of those in like fourth grade, and it was the best. He like dances for you, and there's a button to make it fart. It was
That's dope. All right, our next album is going to be Rico Nasty with Las Ruinas.
Wonder why they wanna switch bodies and trade places. Don't get in my way, I got to get paid. Fashionista shades like gyms, we move weight. Party like parades and wake up in a daze. No wonder why they wanna switch bodies and trade places. These niggas ain't on
This is another kind of what the shit moment for me.
Megan, I need like a hug after listening to this.
Yeah, I needed to be resuscitated.
I really need like to be tucked into bed with a blanket, given like a nice cold drink, and someone to tell me that it's okay and music is still good.
Yeah.
Uh,
This if I could ascribe one word to this, to me it would be unlikable because it's just to me this isn't like a lot of this is actively repulsing me from listening to it again. And it's not because I don't like Rico Nasty. I like Rico Nasty. She's great. And I have liked her on a lot of things. She's an artist that I look forward to seeing on features. But her performance on the majority of this, I would say, is just unlikable. Like when I listen to her, I'm not feeling the sort of self-aware irony that I normally look for from her of like she knows that she's occupying a space and she's being sassy and she's exaggerating, you know? A lot of this feels a little too earnest in a lot of ways and in a disingenuous kind of way that I don't love.
Here's the thing for me. I also love Rico Nasty. I would consider myself a Rico Nasty fan, even to that point. Like she's someone I'm always looking out for new releases for. I think she's one of the boldest, most creative, most original personalities that we have in rap right now, and I think she needs to be like treasured and appreciated, like even more than she is right now. Like she is.
Mhm.
I really feel like she's so close to being the moment and breaking through with something that just rips all of our faces off. Like
Yeah.
one day she'll make that, and this isn't that at all. And
Mm-mm.
it's so disappointing because here's the thing: the first half of this album, tracks 1 through 6, are, in my opinion, I know you disagree with this opinion, but in
Mhm.
my opinion, tracks 1 through 6 on this album, that is intrusive into Vaders, into Black Punk, into Messy, into Fucking Lady, into 1 on 5, and actually also track 7, which I forgot, It Is Gots to Get Paid. Those 7
Mhm.
tracks, I don't like Vaders, but that's not Rico's fault. Those 7 tracks, take them on their own. They are the best rap EP this year has produced so far. I am in love with just about everything those 7 songs do. Intrusive, it took a little bit to grow on me, but you bitches suck as a chorus is just it's too nasty for me to not like just love. Black Punk, this like menacing, like head nodding rhythm on this beat is something that I wish more people were doing right now. The vibe is so good. There's like these vocal like tearing and stretching effects every time she does like an ah sound on the first verse. Black lipstick all over my fat blunt makes me go insane. The gang vocals are so good. The production is awesome. Sorry, I'm just going off here. I have to get it out because these 7 tracks, like, just Messy is my favorite appearance by Tizo Touchdown on anything ever. I have no idea where this came from because he usually underwhelms me, and I think he's one of those artists that like rides hard on his visuals more than his music. But I think this is a great placement of him. I think his performance is awesome. And when the breakbeats kick in, like breakbeats make me come alive. Like they're like the secret like ignition key for my hype factor. On fucking Lady, I forget Rico can actually sing until she does his sung hook. The beat is like so nightcore ass, and then when she like
Mhm.
cedes time to just let the breakbeats take over, the effect is so good. I love that she just lets the instrumental breathe. 1 on 5, I love her whispered vocal. I didn't realize it was her. And like these all these tracks are like demonstrating how elastic her vocal and performance can be. Like she can operate in
Yeah.
so many modes and on top of so many different things that it's so impressive. And then Gots to Get Paid is A, one of the dumbest things she's ever done, and B, one of the best things she's ever done. I had no idea what to expect because all I knew about this track going in is that 100 Gex produced it. And she's in like top form. She has a line here where she says, "I ain't with the dick riding, rather eat a pig's liver," which doesn't make
Just it's so out of
it doesn't
pocket.
make any sense, and I love it. Her flow on the second verse is crazy. There's like this stupid little like cartoon like bonked on the head sound effect in the beat.
It's like a doink.
Yeah,
It's like
she's she's like a flailing like comic book character like bouncing off of walls. The chorus is awesome. It's kind of, and I say this very carefully, a Brockhampton moment on the rhythm side. Like it's very West Coast in that way. Like it just reminds me of I think it's Gummo, like Cash Don't Last, My Friends Will Ride With Me. Gummo is the 6ix9ine song. Gummy by Brockhampton. Is what the rhythm on this reminds me of. And it's that those 7 tracks are so good. And then right after Gots to Get Paid, track 8, Watch Your Man, has a marshmallow feature, and it's a nosedive from
bizarre.
there. Like it starts bad and just gets worse.
Yeah. In my opinion, I will say you said this, but I feel differently about the first 7 tracks. I think that there are 3 good songs on this album.
Mhm.
I think that "Fucking Lady" has probably the most tolerable mix on the vocals and the instrumental up to that point in the album. Um, I like the crunchy second half and the instrumental build. I do think that the chipmunked chorus is a little for me.
It's
Um,
Nightcore. That's what it's doing.
yeah, I don't like night chorus. There you
I
go.
don't either, but I have some
Um,
nostalgia for it.
I never got into it. I remember I saw one Nightcore version of White Winter Hymnal by Fleet Foxes, and I was so viscerally disgusted I never
Did
touched
you know that
it.
there's an official remix of 4th of July by Sufjan Stevens that's basically a Nightcore remix of it? It's so
That's
funny.
really funny. Um, 1 on 5 is nice. I thought it was really sexy, honestly, and the panting behind the chorus is nice. I think her vocal is engaging on here too. I will say I didn't like the verses at all. I think that they were really cheap. They didn't feel consequential in a lot of ways. And I did like Gots to Get Paid. It was interesting with the fatoing sound effect, like I said, and I like the chorus quite a bit. The vocals are more likable, and the rest of the album too. I do think that the beat could have like developed and gone in some wackier ways a lot
It is
more. Just because there is the precedent of that cartoon sound effect, and I'm like, go crazy with it. Like we're going breakbeat on this album, like get wild with it.
the Marshmallow song. Dude, I hate Marshmallow. Like with
Yeah,
every fiber of my being, I hate Marshmallow.
I literally opened the album and I saw that and I was like so baffled. I was like, where in what universe do these artists collide?
Marshmallow is one of the whitest artists to exist, which is funny,
Oh
which
yeah.
is really funny because like he's a Marshmallow, whatever. But like once he branched out of EDM and became like a pop producer and then became a rap producer, this man,
The world has never been the
he
same.
gentrifies every sound
Mhm.
he touches. There's a song with him and Lil Peep and it's just
Ooh.
him trying to do a beat for Lil Peep, and it sounds like shit. It sounds like shit.
Yeah.
And that's this. Like, I don't even know if it's like my preconceived notions coming into this, but like watching a man's beat feels so like clean, like trying to do this sound in such a sterile way. And I can't help but feel like it's because he has like such expensive equipment and software that he's trying to recreate these sounds with. Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so bad. It's so bad.
As soon as I saw him on there, I was like, okay, we're moving away from. I will say I don't love the really breakbeaty stuff from the earlier portion just because I think that sometimes the combination of that with her vocals is a little bit too much and it comes off as very overblown
That's
and sometimes
that's
grating.
like a press a button
Um,
to make me happy. Like just mash that button for
yeah.
me.
I just felt them grating is the word that I would say. A lot of them also felt like they didn't really have enough backbone to hold up like the really fat bass they had.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really enough length on them to elaborate on it, so it was kind of just like a beat and then some verses that I felt like didn't say a whole lot and then it was over and I was like, "Okay, we're here." But those feel good in comparison to the pop section that we go into towards the end where
Oh my god.
Marshmello ushers it in with this like sterilization of the sound and then from with Dance Scream like we're officially into the pop section of the album. Like
Yeah.
that remix, it felt like the turning point.
I
Like
I've never heard this song, the Fred Again song, but I know that it's like really popular right now. And after listening to this, I never want to hear it. Like
yeah, no.
it's she doesn't even do
I,
anything. It's 3 minutes of nothing and she's on it for like 20 seconds.
it's just so weird and I don't know. And then Skullflower was just abysmal with the like the chipmunked vocals again. She just does not need that. Like she has enough going on in her register. She has enough high vocals. She does not need that. And I'm noticing at this point at the album that she's doing so many of the same flows and like the notes and the beats that she's hitting are going in like the same cycles. Like this pop section feels so cyclical and so uninventive. And it feels like a bastardization of what she was doing on the first half. This feels like a double album in like the worst way possible. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it drags a lot. Skullflower was like getting there for me. Like it's almost there because I really like that main like child pitched up Skullflower like vocal riff. And the beat was fine, but I thought the chipmunking, you're right, like really didn't suit her on that one. I didn't think the verses were strong enough to make me care about this song at all. And then she
Yeah.
follows up Skullflower with Focus on Me, which is literally just
Mm.
Skullflower again, but even more boring.
Yeah. Then following that, like towards the back end of the album, like the third to last track, Easy, comes in with guitar, like just straight up.
Yeah, I
And I was like, what's the precedent for this? Why
yeah,
are we doing this?
I will be honest and say of this like pop section of the album, I think this is probably the most successful song, but why is it here? Like,
Yeah, and it so what I came away with is just that like so for context to this, the last 3 tracks on the album are like very weirdly vulnerable and kind of become much more melodic and kind of like emotional ballads and like they're very vulnerable. And I like appreciate that and that's cool. But also the lyrics are not there if you get me. Like on Easy, there's a part where she rhymes therapy with therapy and I was like,
I
okay,
actually
where did this
I
go?
actually kind of liked that line, honestly. She did rhyme therapy with therapy, but I don't know. I thought it worked for the moment. My
I did not. I saw it and I was like, whoa.
my real issue with this song is I actually like the lyrical themes of this song about like her relationship with her fans being kind of toxic. Um, I think that's a really interesting song topic for anyone to talk about. My biggest issue with this track is that she uses punch-ins, which is like when a rapper doesn't like usually because it's impossible like it would be impossible to like deliver a line the way it's written really. Like you say a line, you cut, you record another line, you cut, and then you like splice them together in rhythm, which works
Mhm.
which works in a rap song a lot of the time because the beat is going to cover the sound of that edit, or maybe you like overlap the last two syllables, the last syllable of the line and then first syllable of the next line, and that becomes
Yeah.
like a sound thing. But in such a naked setting, the punching in becomes so obvious, like line after line after line. Like it's fine on a beat, but in a more folky song like this, like it just doesn't sound great. Like that's not, if you're doing a rap folk fusion, which sounds silly, but like it's been done well. I love the included.
Mhm.
Like that's not an element of rap that you want to bring over because it clashes fundamentally with the folk aesthetic of the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that,
And
I thought this song was surprisingly okay.
I was so distracted by the lack of same reason why I was distracted by Naked on Lizzo. It's just so there's such a lack of precedent
I
for
think
it.
I think this is a much more like spot on case of that syndrome than
It
naked.
was just so
There's
weird, and I felt like when we saved all of this emotional weight for the very end of the album, when there's already been kind of a loss of that sass from the earlier portion,
mhm.
I feel like we lose any of the like diametrical opposition of these two sounds. You know what I mean? Like, if we had continued kind of the theme of like vapidity and like overwhelming your problems with shallow needs, like we had talked about, like the blunt line, and there's like the talk about like 1 on 5, like they're very like sexual stuff like that. On those, I also don't feel like there's a whole lot of like, despite how sassy her delivery is and how like clever the lyrics are a lot of the time, I don't feel like the overall emotion of those lyrics lends itself to the sort of ironic acknowledgement of like, I'm doing these things to cover up my issues,
Mhm.
which then would give precedent to talking about those later and being like, I
Yeah,
actually do have problems, this is what's
I
happening.
hadn't thought about that angle on it, but yeah, you're right. Like she is talking in this song about like, and other songs about how like my life is not as perfect as it's supposed to be, but she spends the whole first half of the album saying my life is perfect and I'm the boss bitch. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, that is odd. I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I don't mind that we're doing this. Like I don't mind that we're going into a more emotionally vulnerable place. It's just that there's no reason to do it on this album.
Yeah, yes,
So it feels like such a bizarre end.
that also hits on my like takeaway of this album, which is like I truly like knowing Rico as an artist, as talented as she is, and she is very talented. I don't doubt her ability to do any of these song concepts justice. I really don't. I think she could make
Mhm.
one day a great song about the topics that she covers in the back half of this album. But
Yeah.
it feels like she's holding herself back from really putting herself fully into these song concepts and sounds in case she gets pigeonholed.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that aspect of it is more of a sequencing thing because the sequencing on this album is bad. Like it's real
It's
bad.
so weird.
If the crazier cuts were sprinkled more throughout rather than being so front loaded, maybe I would feel better about the more tame songs than I do. But like it's like she's nervous to commit herself, which is crazy given how much personality she has on the first half of this album. Like the back half of this album is pretty like anonymous. Like anyone could have made these songs.
Mhm.
It's strange. Like I can respect wanting to do something different from her usual, but like when your usual has so much personality and so much color, I would hope that your switch up does too, but in a different way. And it just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm overall I come away sad and I'm bummed that I can't be rooting for this album just because I do feel so viscerally negative about it. And even the tracks that I think are better, I really find them to just be kind of like acceptable. You know what I mean? Like if I'm grading this, like even the 3 tracks that I say I like are still a B. They're just average to me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's just so fucking sad for me because I love the first stretch of this album so much, and then it just like nose. I can't. The word nosedive isn't strong enough for what it does. Like it like it's like a train
It
that
falls off a
it's
cliff.
like a train that very intentionally like it's like the trolley meme, right? And it's like you
Yeah.
made the choice to switch the thing and kill more people. Like
Yeah. This is like she's in Roller Coaster Tycoon and she made a death coaster and you have just been shot off and fell into the ground and you're in a bloody
Yeah,
heap now.
yeah. I don't know, man. I hope, I
Yeah.
hope, I hope she has a good album because I really, really want to wait for her. I don't think Nightmare Vacation is that album either. Um, I pray for her. I pray for her. I hope Twitter isn't too mean to her about this album because I think she like is not like Twitter can get to her. I hope they're not. They are not
Yeah.
too evil to her with this album.
This is a pro Rico Nasty podcast. We like her and we hope that she succeeds. This isn't like when I was like offended by Jack White making a bad album and I wanted him to fail next. I'm actively hoping that she does good
Yeah,
next
this
time.
is a pro Rico Nasty anti Las Ruinas, except the first 7 tracks podcast.
Yes.
Oh yeah, wait, before we move on, fuck BK the Rula. I don't know why she's on this album twice. She does nothing that Rico isn't already doing better on both songs that she's on.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do we got next?
Our next album is going to be the Koreatown Oddity with Is This For Real?
You know K-Town, I don't get down that way. But with an array of different tastes, the best recipes made may not hit your plate. Bandwagon hopping to participate, using blackout rage to keep us engaged. The Simpsons got a black actor for the voice of Carl, but only after the police killed another one of us all. Is this for real?
This is interesting because K-Town's previous project, which both of us love,
Yes.
as far as I know.
Little Dominique's Nosebleed. Fucking
Yeah,
like,
great.
top tier rap album.
Yeah, awesome album. It's very long. It's a little over an hour as far as I think it's like an hour and 10 or something like
And
that.
it's also highly narrative. Like it is very
Yeah.
directly autobiographical.
There's like maybe 2 songs that you could really listen to without having the narrative in your brain. So for this album to be much shorter, much tighter, I would say. Not to say that Little Dominique's Nosebleed isn't tight, but this one's just like very trimmed down. I think that this one is a little bit like the Quinn album in that to me it feels a little bit demo-y for him. I think that is mostly because he trimmed things down so severely from the last release. Some tracks, like the run of the title track, History Attention, and Something or Nothing, the lyrics are really snappy and effective. But I think that in some cases, the tracks could be elaborated on a little bit more. As always, his beats are like amazing. He's a fantastic producer. And the sample selection is great too, but I wish that they were able to expand a little more and like unfold into some more elaborate spaces.
There's
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of punch on this one for something so short. He is like burning through themes at like fucking Mach 5. Like
Yeah.
there's like this consistent like deception and manipulation theme that runs through a
Mhm.
lot of the record. Like white people and capitalists using double meanings and hidden sentiments and like just straight up lies to like
Yeah.
keep black people underneath and like without knowledge and stop them from changing that. Like that's like
Mhm.
if there's a through line of the album, it's that. Like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Um,
And the most straightforward, I think, example of that is probably History Tension. It's just so like there.
the tension of history is attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good song. That one, the beat on that one is like fucking relentless. It kind of reminds me of like a more intimate, like lower budget United in Grief, like the like at the beginning of the Kendrick album, the like
Yeah.
it's the verse from K-Town and the verse from The Guest are both like they're really good. Oh, there's no guest on this song.
Mhm.
Sorry. I was reading the notes for the wrong track, but yeah, that's the hook is really good. The lyrics are really frank. The line where he's like, "I'm black, but how black do I have to be? I don't get to live passively. We get stronger through tragedy, and although it's done magically, it still saddens me."
Yeah, I like that one
The
too.
whole song being on one rhyme scheme is very neat there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that there are some trademark K-Town like funnies on this. Um, the whole like thing about him like having a British accent.
that was so
that-
funny. I
It
love
really
that.
reminded me of have you seen the movie Sorry to Bother You?
I actually haven't. That one's been on my list for a really long time.
So I had to watch that for my satire and great literature class at SCAD.
Beats Riley is a he is a king He is a king.
It is probably one of the most bizarre movies I've ever
You
seen.
have you listened to The Coup? You
No,
should go listen to The Coup. They're a
I probably should.
openly communist rap crew from the West Coast, and they're very like they're pretty West Coast, and like over
Yeah,
that they're just talking about like fucking Marxism. It's great. It's so
that's
good.
awesome. But yeah, this the whole thing about like him having a British voice that's like much more like it's white, like it's white coded.
Yeah,
It that is the theme of the movie really is that them when they're in IT they have a white voice to sell to white customers and come off as trustworthy and more like acceptable. So this is very much playing on that of like the identity politics of having to kind of mask and code switch to be accepted by white people, but then also having to be more like openly like quote unquote urbanized, as stupid as that is, to fit in with other people. It's like what he was saying, like how black do I have to
yeah,
be? Like
yes,
he's trying to deal with how to be adequately black and adequately quote unquote like white coded to fit in various places and actually
yeah.
succeed in life.
Yes, you're totally right, and I also think it's an indictment of like specifically like rappers and like
Hmm.
the perception that somehow like intellectual rap is like a different art form than like quote quote less intellectual rap like trap or whatever, and
Yeah,
like the idea that like that perception of it is intrinsically tied into the whiteness of how your speech is perceived, like
yeah,
intellectual like Koreatown oddity definitely falls into that realm of like more like I said like rappers who quote quote talk white or don't exclusively
hmm
use monosyllabic words or talk about drugs like all the shit people throw at like fucking
yeah. They're like, this is real rap.
Future or Uzi Vert. Right, yeah, like it's saying like that's bullshit. We're no different. Like you have to accept my blackness for what it is. Like me talking in like quote quote poetry does not make me any less black than the black people that you look down on.
Yeah. I think that that also is emphasized by him kind of poking fun at certain things on this album. The most evident of those being Misophonia Love, which is just a really funny song.
I actually
Um,
that's the one song I didn't like.
I thought it was just funny, which is literally about getting turned on by pissing your partner with misophonia off. The beat continues with the sound of the phone ringing in the background to sort of like emphasize that, and the closing like part is really funny, like him saying, "I want to rub, like I'm gonna rub my socks together when we have company over because I know it only bothers
It
you."
really reminds me of that fucking random one-off single that he dropped about like drinking his partner's breast milk.
Yes,
Uh,
he's funny in that way. And there's also like a moment on fundraisers, spelled fund
oh
razors,
yeah, that was a good one.
which is like a vampy ass like Dracula beat, which is it's about like blood sucking like people like fundraising people who like are preying on people who need like change to happen to raise money for
I love
things.
the beat on this one. This is like a Danny Brown
Yeah,
ass beat. I'm so into the
yeah.
beat on this one.
And like the subject matter, it really reminded me of the song War by Young Fathers, which the lyrical snippet from that is the opening part where they said, "Did I see you planting seeds in the forest? Is it for the green of the dollars? Don't go telling me it's for the need of the poorest, or I'm gonna take a shit in your palace." Which is just it's just the same kind of lyrical conceit. And the criticism of like shallow money making tactics kind of follows through in different areas of this, like him getting mad at complacency in politics and how people are fundraising like vote harder kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like when Roe got stricken down and people were getting messages from Joe Biden's campaign and they're like, we need you
The
to donate
the
$15
Pelosi
so we
the
can.
Pelosi emails. Have you been seeing those?
Yes.
My
Yes, and it's just like it's so stupid.
quick
Why do
aside
I need to pay you money to get my rights back?
quick aside that my girlfriend gets the Nancy Pelosi emails and we clown them every day because every fucking day it she phrases it like it's a breakup. Like, Alina,
Oh
I'm
my god.
devastated. Alina, I'm in complete disbelief. And we have this Discord sticker of like it's a screenshot from the top of the email, and it's this JPEG of Nancy Pelosi smiling dead-eyed into the camera. And it says, Alina, it just says, it's Nancy Pelosi, and it says, I'm in complete disbelief. It's so good.
Yes, I like that, and then I think that that sort of it goes into my other favorite, or I will say one of my favorites on this is the track Indifferent. Between like his supremely like zen delivery about like grass being green where it's fertilized, with that sample of the woman just like absolutely raging.
Yeah.
Like she is just going enraged and profane, and it presents this like cool effect of having to be zen outwardly to cope with the fact that you can't change anything. Like you can donate if you want, but that's not going to change shit.
Indifferent is so uncomfortable. This is like one of the least, and I say this with like heavy air quotes, like playlistable rap songs I've ever heard in my entire life. It is so like tense. It's like disquieting. There's like this, it's kind of bossa nova, the beat, and there's like this really foreboding piano riff, and he just keeps going like, am I indifferent or desensitized? And like you were saying, that woman is like raging. I don't know what this is sampled from, but she's so like emotional, like genuinely emotional, to the point where it's like, I can't be seeing this. Like, this isn't for me. And she's just talking about how she doesn't want to see the truth. Like, I don't want to know the truth. It's like, and she keeps saying like artists must suffer. And like, if I had to guess, I think this feels like commentary how like artists, like, quote need to suffer. Like, they don't, obviously, but like the myth of the tortured artist,
the starving
artist,
artist.
like you need to suffer to create great art. But K-Town feels so indifferent and desensitized to the state of the world that he feels like he's not suffering enough to create good art, which is fucking insane. That's like straight genius on this track. That's like a crazy thing to tackle in a rap song.
I love that track. I think that that's probably the biggest stroke of genius to me on this, where I'm just like, I was so affected by that. Yeah, and that, like I said, that leading down into the title track and history tension, it feels like that's the thesis section. So I do feel like this has a lot to say. I just feel like sometimes the package that those messages are put into could be made a little bit more engaging so that you are inclined to listen to those messages.
Yeah.
I think that for some people the beats could be a little bit too brief to really make it feel like it's worth engaging with.
I think the beats on here definitely aren't as crazy as on Nosebleeds, but and also like you're saying, songs are briefer, and the stuff about it is like the songs are briefer and they're more reined in, but I think they always like function. Like, there's no beats that don't work on here.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's okay for them to be reined in a little, since there isn't as like wild or consistent a concept here. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I think that the back end of the album is a little bit it's a little less punchy for me.
Okay.
Like the track Hello is a bit of a miss for me.
Oh, I love that song. That might be my favorite song.
To me, I felt like it didn't like have as much behind it as it could. I liked the messaging in it, but like I said, the delivery of it didn't make me inclined to engage with it. Yeah, and then the closer, Existential Landlord, I thought was just a little bit underrealized.
Oh wait, that was the closer for you?
Was it?
I
might have taken notes wrong.
Okay, and Endless Run was the closer for me.
Oh, I might have just not like taken notes on that.
Okay.
Let me look.
I like that one well enough. Endless Run. Yeah, I was too. I liked it well enough, but I don't have a ton to say about it. I loved Homeboys in Outer Space. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
If you're just looking for like a straight up rap song on here, like, it's that one. This album's Weed in LA.
And that one's pretty much just about like being asleep, which is kind of sweet.
There's a really funny line where he's like talking about how he doesn't give a fuck about Elon Musk, but he calls him Eli Musk.
Yeah.
And there's another really good line where he says, it's at the end on the the British segment for this song, and he's like, well, I went to Fatburger and it just struck me I should really try and fit in and assimilate. So that's why I started doing this accent. I'll give you a little sample now. And then he talks in his normal voice. And then
Yeah.
the woman that he's talking to on the song is like, no, but for real, you sound just like my son's barber, which I thought was
Yeah.
so funny. I also really liked Is This For Real? That one is another one that like pounds the deception themes in pretty heavy.
Yeah, that's the other straightforward
Yeah,
one.
and like it talks about like outrage manipulation, like manipulating outrage to sell things. There's a line at the end where he's like, "The Simpsons got a black actor for the voice of Carl, but only after the police killed another one of us off." And he just kind of drops that like in the middle of the verse. It
Yeah.
doesn't rhyme with anything else. It's just in there, and it's like, yeah, that's it's such a good line.
Yeah, a lot of the time I think that this album sort of is low key like reckoning with the idea of like the album is called Is This For Real? So I think that a lot of the time it's reckoning with sort of being alive when so many prominent black artists are not, and so many just black people in general are not,
It's
for unjust reasons. Like he's just sort of he has to float through it because if he focuses on that, it'll be crushing.
Yeah, it is like is this situation for real? But also like, is anything anybody's telling me about this situation for real?
Yeah.
And then hello. That was my favorite. I'm surprised you don't like that one. I thought that was really fun. The story of the song is he's like in a pit and there's like people
Mm-hmm.
coming over to the top and he's like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And like a reptilian comes by and he starts talking like this. He does like the reptilian minds. They put like 5
Yeah.
electronic filters on it. It's so funny. And then there's like clowns that come to help him. It's like the beat is like a fucking knife sharpener. And then he's like doing these stupid cartoon voices over it. It's so good. And it's talking about like people who treat black people like entertainment or like disingenuously try to help black people while expecting something in return. And
Yeah.
then at the end, like a black man comes by and lifts him up out of the hole, and then he looks at the guy's face once he's out of the hole, and it's him. And
Oh.
like it's this really interesting because simultaneously obvious it's like a call of action like, hey, we need to help each other out, like obvious, that's the obvious angle, but also it feels like an indictment of like pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, like
Yeah.
at the end when it's like, and it was me, like that feels so like unrealistic, like it just brings the song to this crashing halt, like, oh, that would never happen, he needs someone else to come and lift him up out of the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite song on the album. I really like that one.
Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this
Yeah,
one.
it's 24 minutes long. There's not a ton you can milk out of it.
Yeah, I think that we've kind of wrung it for most of what it was saying, and I think that for what it wanted to say, it said it in a good way, and I got it out. So I would say this is a good one.
Yeah, this was a very satisfying one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We can go on to our next one, which is Wooloo with Loggerhead.
We're a bit late on this one, and it's my fault.
We are.
It's my fault. I
We had a silly, goofy moment
we
last
had
week.
we had a snafu. I pick the albums every week. Like I comb various shits to see what's coming out.
And in exchange for me editing, I don't have to trowel the internet for these
Yeah.
albums.
So I found this one and it seemed interesting, and I threw it on the list for 2 weeks ago, and then I just fucking forgot. This is like I the way I do my notes is I paste the cover in my notes and then I just take my notes below it. And I completely forgot to put this one in my notes before I listened to. I
Yeah.
showed up to the episode like, all right, ready to record. And we were talking through the order, and Megan was like, "Okay, where do you want to put Wooloo?" And I just was like, "God fucking damn
You just
it!"
you said, and I quote, "Oh my god, I didn't do it." Like it was like this like ethereal like empty-headed moment. It was awesome.
That said, did you know that I have diagnosed ADHD? That said, I am kicking myself for sleeping on this because this rules. This is a super, super impressive debut. There's just so many ideas on this that come through like so fully realized. This fucking rules.
Mhm.
Big, 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 big thumbs up to this record from me.
Yeah, this one is really, really cool, and it really took me on a journey I was not expecting. The sonic palette of this is that cold kind of production that I really love.
It
And
it is also very drumming focused, so that feels very up your alley.
there is one of my favorite drummers on
Oh
this,
yeah.
which is Mr. Morgan Simpson of Black Midi fame. And his drumming is like the ultimate tickle to me. It feels like he reaches in and he touches my funny bone. He's
I
awesome.
think he is only on Times. I think. That's the only one he's credited for. I don't know if it's someone else
Yeah,
on the rest. But the drumming on
but
this
he
album
is
is
here.
excellent.
It is. And that was a huge thing for me where I love, 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 love drum focused albums that take a cool approach to mixing everything. Especially because there are a lot of elements on this that would normally lend it a bit of a warmer quality. Like on the track take stage, it like rises up and it maintains some grime, but has like these really beautiful strings that come in and out,
Mhm.
which would normally make it a more approachable sound, but here it really doesn't neuter it at all.
There's so many fucking genres going on in here. Like
Yeah.
it's putting so many genres into a blender. The way this album uses chanting and rapping, mostly just for the pure texture of it, is so much
Mhm.
fun. It strikes me as really punk in like just such a cool way. Like I I
Definitely.
seriously can't tell what the fuck he's saying on like 99% of this album. Um
And it doesn't matter.
it doesn't like yeah, I don't feel like I missed much. And I don't even say that in like a bad way, like the lyrics are bad. Like I've read the lyric sheet,
Mhm.
like he's saying some fun stuff on here, but like it wasn't core to my engagement and he mixes the vocals low and that feels like a
Mhm.
very intentional choice. Like he definitely submerges himself in his instrumentation here. Um there's like shoegaze, grunge, breakbeat, like 80s alternative, like fucking like Cure ass guitar sounds on here. This is another one where like he could go any direction from this debut and kill it. He's got so much
Yeah.
versatility. Except this one, as opposed to Abong Jayar, I think is just like a way better album in general.
Yeah. I one thing that I noticed is the development of these tracks is so
Yeah,
organic. Like by having all of these different genres come into it, it makes it feel as if he is not beholden to any one sound. He is able to make something that completely reflects him and his ideas. And by doing that, these songs are able to just flourish.
yeah,
And one of the ones that I really noticed on that was early on the song Night Pill. There's no one big explosion, it just rises really seamlessly. And you barely notice it, and suddenly you're in the chorus. And there's this myriad of just like beautiful elements. It just undulates with these sharp, really present drums. Like we say, do not pass this up if you're a drum person.
yeah. This is a great drum album.
Yeah, the kick in with the drums being really industrial at the end is so
That's another one. There's
satisfying.
so much industrial on this album. I didn't even mention that one.
And it's so good, which is why it really it takes in that cold sound and it really works with
Night
it.
Pill has like, there's like, it's just like in its lane, and then the feature Asha Lorenz, who I've never heard of her, comes in to deliver this like indistinct, muffled crowd vocal under these like gross synth layers, and it's like skin crawling. And then when the song
Mhm.
goes into its outro, it just breaks. Like there's like these
Yeah.
squealing tones, and the drums get totally blown out. They sound like fucking gunshots. It's so good.
Mhm.
This song is awesome.
Yeah. Another one for me that I really noticed was I think it was the moment that I kind of realized that it was going for the cold aesthetic was the song Facts. It's so
Yeah,
bare and like ominous, and there's this like ever changing like bass presence, and the mixing on the vocals keeps it so engaging. That's one thing about this album. The mixing on the vocals is really unique.
yeah.
He affects it
Huge
in
for
really
this album.
cool ways across this album. And once again, the kick in of the drums at the end, I think that they're so like good and crisp. And I've also noticed that crabs in a bucket were like a lyrical motif that I had picked up on, which is kind of cool. And it really comes in towards the end with a track like Broken Homes being the closer, which is very, it's the only one that lyrics I think are really, really the important part of it, because that one's basically spoken word for
Yeah.
part of it. It makes it feel the album allows itself to sort of be unfocused in its genre, which then when it comes in with the spoken word at the end and it's able to really be him, just straight up him, it makes it feel like a very in focus choice for the closer, where it all comes together and it makes sense and it comes together and says, this is his vision. It feels so profound and I love it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. There's so many like songs I could point out on this album. Like it really does have like, because Broken Homes goes really shoegaze in the end. Like it's just these
Yeah.
walls of guitar. And I never thought I'd hear like hardcore rap style ad libs over shoegaze. And it sounds so awesome and it sounds so punk.
Mhm.
Like that's the thing. Like this is overall like just such a punk. The ethos of this album is so punk, but like it's so much more expansive than that. Like it's pulling in
Yeah,
so
definitely.
many other things. South is one of my favorites.
Definitely.
The main melody on that one is so eerie. That guitar filter, it's so like
Mhm.
watery and like 80s Curie. And then the beat
Yeah.
is so driving. When he screams into the chorus on the end, the effect is huge. It's like this song is like Prodigy meets The Clash meets Gorillaz meets Rage Against the Machine with like a
Mhm.
healthy bit of dub reggae in there too. Like and it's got the one lyric that really stuck out to me on the album. And he says, I used to live in North London. There ain't much of it left. And that's just so
Yeah.
like, that's such a line. The feature's really good
Yeah,
on that
and I
song
think
too.
Lexa Moore does a really good job. Her vocals are so different from Wulu's in both like actual like vocal timbre and also the way that it's mixed, and it makes this like it almost does feel like a contrast
Yeah.
between North and South. Like there's a real sense of division here.
Yeah. The text, that even pulls even more into what I was saying before, because the vocals on this album are more important for the texture of them than for anything else.
Entirely, yeah.
On Scrambled Tricks, when he starts just like chanting crabs in the bucket got scrambled from your tricks, like that is what that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
But like the energy of it is so menacing just because of the pure sound of those words that he's saying and like the rhythm in which he's saying them, and it fits the song perfectly. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um Slightly is also really good. Like the voices on the album are super diverse. Like there's a lot of different
Mhm.
sounding people that like surface through the murk to deliver some like
Yeah.
verse and then disappear again, and it's like so shadowy. The whole album is like that. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm kind of in love with this album as far as like just the way that it's presented and the fact that I think it's self-produced. I think this is like very, very much an independent sort of, like you were saying, it's punk in its ethos and it's punk in presentation, and I think that it was pretty like DIY to make. Um and I'm enthralled with it. And as a drum enjoyer, it really scratched an itch for me. I think that I was waiting for something like this and I didn't really realize it. So big ups to Wulu for that.
Yeah, it's he's really arriving fully formed with this one.
Mhm.
This is not one to miss. If anything we've said sounds cool to you, this is another one where like if you like the first two tracks, this album is going to be a great time for you because
Oh yeah.
it stays in that lane but is always curveballing you for the whole record.
Mhm. I listened to the first track and I was like, "Oh baby.
See,
Oh baby."
I actually don't care that much about Take Stage. Like it's fine, but then Night Pill kicked my ass so hard that I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm buckling in. I'm ready.
Yeah. That's funny because I actually noted that the falsetto on Take Stage was a little bit Damon Albarn to me.
Oh, huh. There's some gorillas on this album for sure.
Yeah. Ugh, good album.
Yeah, great record. Sad I missed it last time. Would have been fun to talk about.
Yeah. But glad we got around to it in the end.
All right, is it time for the big boy, the big
It
chungus?
is time for the big I don't like that you just said big chungus, but it's
This
time for the
album
big boy.
this album is a big chungus, and you
Uh,
can't deny that. You might not like it, but you can't deny it.
I'm gonna be in denial of that.
Okay.
I'm not I refuse to acknowledge that.
Tell us in the comments if Hellfire by Black Midi is a big chungus.
I'm not letting that be the intro to this album. I like it too much for that. I'm not letting that slide. I can't do that.
I say,
Ahem.
I say this because I love it.
And, next album is going to be Black Midi with Hellfire. fucking go.
Jesus. Okay. I like Black Midi. I don't love Black Midi. The first records, I was like, yeah, I see why people are into this, but there were some tracks that were just like in one ear and out the other. After this album, I love Black Midi.
I was already on the wave. I I actually have a funny relationship with Black Midi because I got into them from Robin Pecknold of Fleet Foxes,
Of course. Very on
who
brand.
posted their track Crow's Perch on his story in 2017, which is their first track on streaming. And so I knew about them about a year before their first release. So when Schlagenheim came out, I was like, I'm on a wave of something. And at the time, I wasn't really ready for it, but it grew on me so hard. And then when Cavalcade came out, I was like, we're going in so many different directions. So I've loved them from the start, and now I fucking adore them. They're definitely cemented in. If you know anything about me, you know that I don't rank things, but there's just kind of a top 3 of artists for me that has formed, and they are now officially number 3, which has been a vacant spot for a while. So yeah, I'm head over heels for this album.
Black Midi, it's so funny that when Schlagenheim dropped, people were like, "Oh, this debut is so fully formed. Like, this is everything we need in modern prog."
It's so
And like,
crazy to look back on it.
yeah, now from this, the artistic progression from that to Cavalcade to this is like it's a straight line. Like
Yeah.
it's so clear. Like the ideas that we're generating then they are now like fully delivering on now. Like it's very clear. I feel like listening to this, I feel like I just got thrown into a fucking pit. This album is like walking into a Hieronymus Bosch painting and trying to find your way back to the surface, but like all these fucking like devils and demons are like playing DVDs in your face about like
Yeah.
people who wound up here before you. When the cover art for this dropped, because it's really similar to the cover art for Cavalcade.
Yeah,
It's
they're
probably
they're sister albums.
they've said that?
They have an extended Black Midi universe, and there are characters in this that are related to characters and events in Cavalcade.
Okay.
So yes,
That's one thing. Like having like a Gizverse style, like recurring characters is one thing. I don't think this album is really anything like Cavalcade at all. Like I got completely different vibes from
I
this
would
one to
argue that it
Cavalcade.
is, but that's for later.
This like I assumed I was going to get something similar to Black Midi's previous record, but really the biggest change between Cavalcade and this is that it's so conceptual. And that angle and that focus is like what I needed to like be the keystone for me to like dive fully into something these guys made and just like immerse myself in it. Like this is what our King Crimson discussion was foreshadowing, because
Yes.
I like a lot of songs on Cavalcade. Like I really do. I when I say that I like Cavalcade, I mean that I like Cavalcade. I think it's a great record. Marlena Dietrich and John 50 and Chandra Malakia Patella and Slow and fucking Ascending Forth, like all great songs. But like there are songs on there like Diamond Stuff and Hogwash that just like it's Scrimble Bimbo. It passes me by.
That's crazy. Those are 2 of my favorites on the album.
They just completely like in one ear and out the other. For Hellfire to use the technical proficiency for the purpose of the storytelling, for the purpose of the narrative, for the purpose of the emotional arc of each song, allows me to just like bust through into like loving this, like being obsessed with this album. Of course Hell is chaotic. Like of course Hell is dissonant. Of course Hell is like the speed of a fucking racing cheetah and near unfollowable technically. Like it works perfectly.
Yeah. And the interesting thing here is that it's not even that this is necessarily about hell, period. It's about hell on earth. It's about people on earth who do hellish things and who are damned to hell. Like all
it's really
of the
about sinners as well.
Yes, but all of the people on here have something going on, and a lot of what this album
rogues gallery. It's a fucking Batman rogues gallery. It's so great.
Yeah, and a lot of the characters on here are unaware of their vice or are victims of other people's vice, things like that. Like it's a unique way of approaching it. And there's even a part on the very last track where it really is, it has a thesis moment where one of the characters is asking 27 questions, and one of his final questions is a sin committed every moment of every day? And that's the album, you know? Like it's just about the common sins, different definitions of sin for different people. Like on Eat Men Eat, the captain finds there being gay men in the world disgusting and says that they're sinners, and they're going to see him in hell burning. And then there's other moments like the defense, where it's a brothel owner
So good.
trying to justify his using these women by saying that he saved them, when really he is the one who's damned to hell for taking advantage of them. Things like that.
He says like, my girls are all destined to hell, but like we as the audience, it's like a total like Greek chorus dramatic irony thing.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
we know what's happened to every other fucking character on this album so far. Like we
Yeah.
know they all went to hell. Like it's so good. Their ability to musically convey like the agony and terror of being these horrible people and being around these horrible people is crazy. Like
Yeah.
this is what their sound was made to do.
Mhm.
Like it's that aspect of them has been strong on previous records, but now they are able to like fully pour themselves into it, and it suits them like it's so well. I think this is their best album by a long shot.
Yeah, and also there is some evidence for it being a sister to Cavalcade,
Okay.
which is singer Geordie Greep called Hellfire an epic action film if Cavalcade was a drama. So they're both cinematic in different ways.
Yes.
So there are moments on this, like the cave from Eat Men Eat is the one in Diamond Stuff. So you would assume that it's one of the people in the insane narrative that Eat Men Eat is about. It's one of those men who is being cannibalized, decomposing in the cave.
I mean, like I honestly like, I think recurring narrative characters, like for me, that doesn't bridge two albums sound wise at all. Like
And
I
no, I'm not
understand.
saying that it's sound wise. I'm just saying that it does make them like they are linked.
Yeah, to me, that's more like they like a writer comes back to the same idea over and over again in their work. You know,
But I
like
will say there are similarities sonically as well. The fact that a lot of these songs are pretty batshit, and then there are moments there are
Yeah.
moments of relief, like Still and like The Defense, which are similar to Ascending Forth and Marlene Dietrich. Like there are similar like rhythms as far as tonal differences in this album.
Still is like, you forget that these guys are capable of such like beautiful emotional moments until they smack you with one. I just
Yeah.
love them in this space.
Still is like the closest Black Midi have come to like chamber folk.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's just gorgeous.
Hellfire is just like a funny little opener with some like accordion honking. It's great.
Yeah.
But then the threefer of the singles of Sugar 2 into Eat Men Eat into Welcome to Hell is like, you are just that's like what I was talking about. Like you have fallen into the painting and you are just getting shown these.
I am
horrible
being
things.
beaten and battered by these songs.
Yeah, Sugar 2 is the one in particular that I was like, yeah, they're using their crazy technical prowess to its fullest in order to increase the narrative of the song.
Yeah.
Like the insane riffing and like fast-paced drumming, like the brass on this song, and how Greep just like fucking howls at the halfway point.
Yeah. Weighing in. It's just so like good.
This story is about like this 3'3" freakazoid like going into a fighting ring with this fighter and just like stabbing him and killing him. And then
So what it is it's this dude who's jealous of like the physique of these wrestlers. He describes himself as a 3'3" superfluous freak, and the opening line is him saying, like, history will remember me as the greatest there ever was, because he goes out of his way to make history by being that freak and killing one of the most dominant fighters in the country.
Yeah.
And it is all about violence, and he has stated, Greep that is, has stated that a lot of the songs on this are about society's obsession with violence.
Yeah.
And that checks out, because there is a moment on this it shows that it's all about winning and losing, quote unquote. As he says, the audience won in that moment when when
Oh
Sugar was
yeah, when
dying.
he kills him, yeah.
Yeah, and that Sun Sugar would be nothing without him because he made him a martyr. So this really tells us about the theme of the album straight up in such an amazing package of this
Like
engaging narrative.
it's insane. Like following the twists and turns of this story particularly is insane. And then
Yeah,
you follow that with Eat Men Eat, which is an equally insane story. That's my favorite. Eat Men Eat is my favorite single. That
it's so cool.
this song goes stupid. It goes absolutely dummy. The way it just opens with someone going like "Rah," and then like right into this like pounding piano acoustic rhythm, and then down to like this sweet like Cameron doing this sweet vocal register, and
Yeah.
then how it like slowly builds up to like the shrieking chorus at the end, and like he's like burning, burning, and there's like they're putting all
Yes.
that electronic fuzz on his album. You've seen The Lighthouse, right?
Yes.
It reminded me of the end of The Lighthouse when he looks into the light and he's screaming, but it's
Yeah.
just static.
I
Like
see
it's
that.
so cool.
So the delivery of Burning is chilling. And there's like a very flamenco edge to this song.
Yeah, it's weirdly Latin. Shout out to Marco Salogni, Marta Salogni on production on this whole record because it's so sonic. Like there's so much going on in the mix, but she does such a good job of like separating out each element and putting it in its own space and making sure that it comes together as a cohesive whole with everything audible. Like it's
Yeah.
just very, very well arranged.
She was also the producer on Cavalcade.
Yep.
And I think that she did something very interesting between them, which I will once again kind of talk about the differences between them and how they are similar, which is that my one gripe on Cavalcade was that the vocals were kind of buried. That was the one thing, was that they weren't high enough in the mix for me to really appreciate Greep and Cameron, despite them being awesome vocalists in their own respects. But now I kind of see what was happening there, where Cavalcade is a much more loosely conceptual album, where it's just sort of about like there's like a very loose through line on 3 songs about aging, stuff like that, where it's not really about the lyrics in a lot of ways. It's about the vibe and it's about the emotion. Versus on this album, the vocals are so important. They're telling
Yeah.
the entire story. So for them to be directly on top of everything and so brash and so loud is really important. So I definitely see what she was doing there.
Welcome to Hell was the correct first single, honestly.
Definitely.
Like it is insane, but less insane than the tracks that surround it. And like it almost sounds like Modest Mouse for a little bit on the first half. And then the brass kicks in, the guitars get more punch, and like it introduces like when they released it, this was a nice introduction to like the violence that is all throughout this album and like
hmm
the light musical elements that show up on the heavier cuts here. And he says like shivering fuck, don't stain this street. You're lucky I don't shoot you on the spot. Like it's like it's a really nice introduction.
Yeah.
But the fact that that is the 4th track leads to my one singular gripe with this album is I think the sequencing is not as good as it could be. I think Welcome to Hell should have been first. I think they should have switched Dangerous Liaisons and Still, because
I
after the race is about to begin, which if you want to talk about that song, we can talk about that here.
yeah.
Uh,
I personally I disagree. I think that the sequencing is perfectly fine.
the race is about to begin is like if there's going to be like in 20 years when the Black Midi fans are like annoying King Crimson fans now, this is like the moment, right? Like it has to be.
I think so. And the funny thing is that it's so self-aware of how absurd it is, in the fact that so it's about Tristan Bongo.
Who is the protagonist of Sugar Tzu?
No, who's the protagonist of
Oh, I'm
Welcome to
sorry,
Hell.
of Welcome to Hell.
Yes, who gets discharged for not sleeping with a prostitute and being soft in the military. He gets discharged and falls into gambling addiction. So the race is about to begin is about him betting on a horse race, and describes him getting addicted to the races and then him kind of justifying it later. But on
He
verse
stays
3,
he stays in the building for 30 years and kills people who find out that he's been in there for a really long time. Like
yeah,
that needs to be pointed
that's where
out.
we're here. Yeah. So, and the funny thing is that he Greep it just kind of puts things in here that are like meant to be glossed over.
Yeah.
Like on verse 3, he lists all of the horses, and they are Lucky Star, Eyesore, Dr. Murphy, Sun Tzu, The Clap, Mr. Winner, Spot, Wallace, Miss Gonorrhea, Perfect P, Dead Man Walking, and The Company Favorite, which is just such an incredible listing of names.
Okay. That part reminded me of a part in my D&D campaign last year when I introduced these characters, and they're quicklings, which is like they're really small blue fairies that are really fast, and they like zip around like you can't even see them. And they were like messing with one of the PC's farms. And their names, I introduced them as like a soldier platoon, and their names were Squink, Scrumpus, Boingus, Spungy, Jorf, Chork, Pilates, Fonkus, Torbjorn, Mitski, Glompy, Chongo, Fugwump, Freg, Fendrix, and Joseph Stalin. And that, like, when he starts like rattling off these horse names, I was like, Greep, you need to pay me royalties. Come on, buddy.
There's also like this moment, verse 7. It's verse 7. Greep has a rap god moment.
I don't even think it's a rap god moment. This is just like, he sounds ill. Like, he sounds unwell. I can say the word rant, and I can use the word madness. And for the backing on this, I can use the word wailing. And none of that, like, comes close to even touching what this sounds like in the moment. Like,
Mhm.
when I say this is the moment, like, this is one of the most physically exhausting pieces of music I've ever listened to. Like, it is,
I feel like I'm racing.
yes, it is like, he is like ranting about like borderline nothing at like the top of his lungs for so long.
Yeah. I don't know how he memorized all of this, if I'm being honest. This is insane. He's ranting as Tristan Bongo, and this is the section where he's trying to justify his gambling addiction. So it really does suit it that you say he's unwell, because this is the rant of a mentally ill person trying to justify addiction.
He has snapped. Like, he is inhabiting this character so fully that it is like harrowing. It is like,
Yeah.
it's a frightening minute and a half of music. Like, I really mean, like, however many albums Black Midi are going to make, The Race is About to Begin is going to be like one of their classic songs that people
Yeah.
will reference for like a million years to come.
And he even, there's a moment that is self-aware in this rant that you would never catch unless you're looking at the lyric sheet, because you can't hear
Yeah.
fucking anything, where he says, "No king of this useless nameless non-land, no end to this nothing nonsense non-song." So he's like talking about how Tristan Bongo is enjoying being at the horse races because there is no king. You're the victim of luck, you know? And then he's saying no end to this nothing nonsense non-song. He's acknowledging how long this rant section is and how exhausting it is.
You know the best part of this album? That's not even my favorite track.
Yeah, right. And let it be noted that also Tristan Bongo is from Schlagenheim.
Yeah,
The city of Schlagenheim. He says he's from Salafacien, which is also where Hogwash and Balderdash from Cavalcade are from. So
Yep.
fun little. Apparently, that town just produces insane people, so that's great.
They need to check like the lead in the water over there.
There's lead in the water, as in near DTMI.
Oh. That's like
Yeah.
that's like kind of what I was going for, but it was like most like I knew it was a reference,
Yeah.
but like I was reaching for it because I couldn't remember what song it was from.
Yeah, no, I'm here for you. I'm the Black Midi geek. But it is notable that once again we kind of have this moment of talking about sins at the end of The Race is About to begin, where he says the infinite infinitesimal, all sins irrepressible.
Yep.
So he's saying that everybody there is degenerate, and that's why he likes it.
The only part of this song that I don't like is the part where he says, like, at the beginning, he's like, idiots are infinite and thinking men are numbered. Don't kid yourself. This isn't news. Like, shut up. Like, not gonna lie, shut up on that one. Like,
it's a character.
No, not in that moment. It does not feel like a character. There's another moment later in it where I was like, he says something so like shitty in like a stupid, shitty and not even shitty in like a clever or narratively fulfilling way. Like saying that idiots are infinite and thinking men are numbered. Don't kid yourself. This isn't news. Like shitty in a compelling way. That's shitty in a way that like a Redditor is, you know? Like
I don't know. I read that as him saying to himself or talking down to somebody at the racetrack, like, I know everything. I'm the guy. I've been here this long. Listen to me. I'm wise. Come on, don't
I
kid yourself. This isn't
I guess.
news.
The other one that I was annoyed about is where he says, oh yeah, he has a line on Dangerous Liaisons where he's like, some people are useless, like are useless as a fish, something.
As
I
useless
don't
as
know.
lids on a fish's eyes.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking stupid, but it is Satan saying it, so like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and also that's like it's a him talking about idiocy from this track to the next. It's the flow. Like this is an idiot.
I needed, so yeah, what I'm talking about with the race is about to begin is that after the ending of the race is about to begin, which is everything we just said, I needed a breather, which like it's again very uncharacteristic for me to say that. Like I never say that. Like I'm the person who doesn't like breather tracks, but I needed like a space there, and Dangerous Liaisons didn't give that to me. But on re-listens through the record, Dangerous Liaisons then became my favorite track. So
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like the beginning of this song is as much of a breather personally as I need because it is slow for a little bit and then we kick into talking when he's giving his backstory, it's calm, and then I'm like, okay.
it is slow, but it's not slow in a way where I'm like recovering from the previous song. You know, it's slow, but it's still intricate in that moment. I feel like I should still be paying attention to what's happening, but like I don't have the energy for it in that second.
That's fair.
But
But this song is a
this
fucking ripper. This is probably my favorite
so
on the
good.
album.
Yeah, same. When this kicks in on the back half, like there's nothing else like this on the album. Again, with me and the fucking xylophones, like you put xylophones on anything, and I will just like cream my jeans.
Yeah.
The lyrics are so good on this one. Fucking rest in peace, this idiot.
Oh yeah. And it's like so the whole thing that's interesting with the back half of this album to me is that Satan stops being like a vague reference to sin and like hell stops becoming something conceptual. Satan is a character here. Like
Pops up.
he fucking like spoilers, the last track he makes somebody explode. Like there
Yep.
it's just like that's just the way it goes.
He
So
blows up like a hot air balloon and explodes. That's the
yeah.
metaphor they use.
Yeah, so it's not a metaphor. So here, this track is about a farmhand who says that he had no aversion to killing, but to murder a man in cold blood was something entirely different. And he says that he is approached by some dude who is saying that he's saying he's like from the mafia and he needed somebody to carry out a hit for him. And he's like, this is a good line. He says, persuasion wise, he had a real gift. Temptation had me by the balls.
Yeah.
Um,
The line later, where he says, they ghost him is the conclusion of that. Like he does this killing, and then this person ghosts him, and the idea being that like regardless of whether you do it for the promise of payment or any like retributional reason, like a killing is still a killing.
Yeah.
And he says like front page news, random killing, no gang affiliation, no mob justice, murder. To see a bruised neck, eye wrecked, immortalized in print, and then the fucking devil comes out of the newspaper. And
and he says, "You're coming with me, son." I will say I have to shout out Greep as a vocalist on this song is it like imitable. He's amazing. He's like
really, really good.
There's a part where he says, "I'll tell you for free," and he sounds feral.
I thought that was a different person the first time I heard that. I thought that was like someone else.
He goes insane there. And then there's also the part where they say murder, and it is visceral. I just like when I listen to that, I feel like I'm being convicted. It is so intense. And the storytelling, I think that the storytelling on this has to be some of Greep's most engaging. It is so well told, and there's no fat on the story. It's just amazing.
You know, it has the feel of, and this comes through in the sound too. It's like a 1920s black and white cartoon, and then at the end, like the big hand reaches out of the paper and drags him in, and it like falls to the ground.
It has a cartoonish.
I see like Popeye and Bluto or like Cuphead.
Definitely.
And then it ends with 27 questions, which I cannot unhear. The first time I heard this song, and I'm sorry I'm gonna do this to you. The first like the first couple verses, the riffing of the guitar is like and it straight up sounds like clown horn honking.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that in a bad way, but it sounds like a clown horn honking. And then
Yeah.
it's in like serious scrimblow mode for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, I am like it like hard pivots as he asks the 27 questions into like this like ridiculous, like so silly, like vaudeville nonsense.
Yes.
And I am like just so it's so bizarre and morbidly charming.
This is by far their most like theater core song.
It's like fucking Lemony Snicket wrote this. Like
Yes, exactly.
it's so ridiculous
Yeah.
and like over the top. And then he blows up like a hot air balloon and explodes, and that's how the album ends.
Yeah, and I think that you'd be remiss to not look at these questions too, because some of them are
Silly.
some of them are so easily answerable, and others are cosmic and unable to be answered at all. So it's like it feels like a look into this dude's brain and his heart. And
He's like this old character who's like an old sinner who like did horrible things in his past.
yeah,
And like his daughters are like singing his praises, and nobody in the audience is convinced of anything because they all fucking hate this guy.
yeah. So there was a bios given by Black Midi for these characters.
What? Send me those. Please send me
There's
those. I
only
did not
two
see
of them, I think, and they're very brief. There's one for Freddie Frost, who's in this song, and there's one for Tristan Bongo, and they're very short.
I think I know enough about Tristan Bongo.
Yeah, there's the bio for Freddie Frost is age, younger than life, older than death. Grew up on stage, lives in your head, instrument and audience, weapon, my talent, enjoys applause. So that's who you need to know about. And he asks these questions where you realize later that he is really singing to stall. Because he knows what's coming.
Yeah,
so
like he can feel like he can physically feel like the burning inside of him as he's like stalling for time with like his last moments. And then
and there's moments where he says like he goes from stuff where he says is the future where man can go a year without hydration, which is like just fucking stupid, to is the will really free? Is it only black you see when you join the deceased? Will I forever be a mediocrity, a hideous glut with trembling knees? And it's so like intense. And then he goes back to saying like, will my corpse grow a beard? Will my house be kept? And will my sperm be reared? So it's just like, it's such like whiplash.
I love how this song ends and he like forgets his last question and doesn't have time to say it. And then explodes.
he says it's not quite 27, but my chest feels awful tight. So thank you for listening. So he cuts himself off because he's in so much pain.
Yeah.
And then the outro, I just need to read this. It says, Freddie Frost blew up to the size of a hot air balloon, red as all hellfire and loud as Satan's siren. And he wheezed and moaned in pain as he rose, but we all just laughed at the sad old oaf, and we laughed all the way home.
It is surreal. It's like a weird nightmare.
Yeah, and it's such a good closer because it really does solidify all of what is being said on this album. We have Satan as a literal figure. We have this surreal moment where somebody fucking explodes on stage.
The Greek chorus dramatic irony of it with the audience. Like we're the audience, but we're also not the audience.
But the audience sees it. It sees the entire thing and they're still laughing and they're continually laughing. And it's that whole thing of society's obsession with violence. And
I mean, here we are like ranting and raving about how good this album is with the violence. Like in that moment, we do become the audience. Like we're watching Freddie explode.
Yeah, and the whole thing, it's very reminiscent of looking like you have this vaudeville dude who's just singing to prolong the moment where he knows he's gonna die, and we as the audience are watching it with like and kind of mocking him and his last moments. It's like a lyrical version of like a Roman Colosseum where I'm watching him being eaten by lions.
Okay, you say Roman. And I'm gonna propose a very challenging concept to you here, one that came to me gradually, my ultimate thesis on this album.
Uh-oh.
So, yes, you viewed this song as occurring in a Roman Colosseum, yes?
Somewhat.
So in my mind's eye, this setting, because it does paint such like a vivid picture. This in my mind was occurring in like a grand theater, like
Yeah,
an almost
that is to me where it was too, but mostly
like
the Roman thing is mostly in tone.
I was saying like well that can still stay as part of my grand thesis.
Okay.
I was viewing it as like a grand Renaissance style theater, like a huge like opulent like red curtains with gold. Like the audience all has like those masks, like the Harlequin masks on, like that kind of thing. And then people said like the presentation is like vaudeville on this album, and yes, it is. Can't spell vaudeville without devil,
Mm-hmm.
but it almost reminds me more of like the Commedia dell'arte with all like these like Harlequin figures. I'm building to something silly, but this is legitimate point. Like
Mm-hmm.
it very much reminds me of like that era of like outlandish costumed performers
Yeah.
putting on this religiously tinged like show of like pure character portrait. And then there's the whole mafia conceit on Dangerous Liaisons and the full embrace of like more European Mediterranean sounds, like on like with the more Spanish influences on Eat Men Eat, and the way the guitar and like sax interplay on Dangerous Liaisons, and the defense being about like this medieval brothel. Like it is all like it's very Mediterranean. So my ultimate thesis about Hellfire is that Black Midi are finally truly exploring Italy the way it was meant to be explored. The boys are just having a WAP moment on this one, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. And
This is
they're much like a Vampire Weekend. They have a diverse
this is
heritage.
this is cultural appropriation of Italians by the British. I'm marching over there right now to slap their shit silly. Oh my god.
I actually have like you got me thinking actually about literary allusions to this, and I do
I
have
think
something to say.
okay.
So so they have gone on record to say that their music is silly and it's overblown, and
It
you
is.
need to be able to laugh at it, because
That's why I love it.
if you can't laugh at what they do, I think they are mostly saying this to like music fans who are like they're the next
Yeah.
King Crimson shit like that. They're like, if you can't laugh at what you do, you're not really getting what we're going for.
A guy
Um,
exploded. A man
Exactly.
exploded. That's
And so
funny.
people take it so seriously. And if anybody like says like this is absurd, they're like, no, it's the best thing ever. To me, it feels like early on how Shakespeare was a comedy author and he was making lowbrow things, you know what I mean? And now he's considered like the most revered playwright ever. And I feel like that's how this band is going to go down in like the pretentious music sphere. Like they
That
know themselves to be little jokers who make this like absurd extended universe with like made up places and people who explode. And people who are trapped in mines where they're being like harvested for their stomach acid to make wine. Like it is insane. And then people are going to be like, this is the greatest band of all time, everything they make is flawless. All of
this
their
will
things
surely
should
have
be
above a 4 on rateyourmusic.com.
exactly, all of their albums should be taken without question. They're the end all be all, and it's so predictable the way that things like this go, because people are incapable of accepting that things that are artistically brilliant can also be funny.
Yeah. I don't know. This album is really like it really is like Renaissance flavored. I know Dante isn't Renaissance, but like
It
it's
really is
very like
though.
it's very Dante.
Yeah,
Um yeah, this is a fucking great album.
I can't
I
recommend this enough, honestly.
Yeah, I have ranked it third on my end of year albums list right now. Only behind Ethiops and Raw Data Feel, which like I think this might technically be like a better album than both of those, but Ethiops and Raw Data Feel are more like directly tailored to me. But
Yeah.
like this is an album that like we talked about how I felt about the King Crimson album. Like this is a
Hmm.
genre of music that for me can be really hard to get into. Like this is an album. This is a style of music that's often very intentionally inaccessible and like weird and
Shrouded.
dense and like yeah and intentionally guarded. But like I was like really able to connect with this on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
And I think if you have been on the fence about checking out either Black Midi specifically, like if you've heard people yell their praises to the sun or like suck their dick, like, I know we just sucked their dick for probably like half an hour, but like, if you've been on the fence about trying like this or anything in this vein,
Mhm.
I do implore you to like check this out, because maybe this could be the one.
Yeah. I'm really happy, honestly, that they're doing this sound because I think that we're overdue for like a very daring prog revival.
Yeah.
I'm a prog fan and I love brutal prog like this, so I'm very excited to see them kind of paving this path. And I honestly can't wait to see in the runoff of this album what acts choose to attempt this sound as well.
This is one of those albums where like in 20 years I'm very curious how this will be remembered, because like
Exactly.
I don't know if it's going to be like a supreme critical favorite forever, but I know it will have a very dedicated fan base.
Definitely. And I'm so happy with this. And I'm it's a funny thing that happened actually. I pre-ordered this vinyl.
Did you
And
explode?
I waited. I did the same thing I did with Cavalcade, which is I waited for myself to listen to this until I could listen to it on vinyl. Which is the most pretentious thing that I think I do, but I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm patient enough that I want to experience something that I am supremely hyped for in the most like
The format you want to listen to.
in the best way that I possibly can. And that the best way for me is to let it bathe over me like in a room. I did the same thing with the Fleet Foxes vinyl I just got, which is it's a live album and I waited 7 months to listen to it. I had
Are you
not heard it.
okay?
I didn't
Are you
listen to
okay?
it at all. And this is my favorite band of all time. And I waited to
good?
listen to it today and I ascended. It was the most cathartic moment I think I've had in months. But so yeah, worth it. But I did that for this album, and when I opened it, I pre-ordered it, and it was a clear red vinyl, right? And I open it, and it's opaque and like a raspberry color, and I was like, huh, I wonder if this is just a misprint. So then I asked my brother because I got it for him too. I was like, is yours opaque? And he goes, yes. And I said, So I emailed Rough Trade, and I was like, hey, did I get a misprint, or like, could you send me the right ones? And they responded and they said, nope, that's right. All of them
Wow.
are opaque. We're as surprised as you. There was a manufacturing error. If you want to return it for a refund, you can. And I was like, no, I mean, like, it sounds immaculate. Like, I'm fine with that. But like, that's so funny that they just bungled the print.
I'm bad. I'm bad with like the concept of pre-orderings. Like I don't have enough trust in my body in any, like, even like artists that I'm like diehard love for. I don't have enough trust in my body that I can like pre-order a vinyl and know I'm going to be obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But like your intuition pulled through on this one.
Yeah, I've never had a pre-order that I was sad about because I'm selective about them. But
Mhm.
this one in particular, because I already knew that Sugar 2 was on it, and the KEXP that they did was actually the precedent for me to pre-order both Cavalcade and this album, because they played 3 Cavalcade tracks and Sugar 2 in that one. And Sugar 2 alone was so amazing that I was like, I just need it. So, and then as soon as I heard Welcome to Hell, I was like, no shot, I'm going to hate this album. So yeah.
Yeah. Big wreck from us. We sing its praises.
Big W.
Yeah, just head over heels for this one. I wasn't expecting it to.
TBE. Do you know about that?
What?
TBE. It's the Black Midi, like, business Greep. His thing is he says like TBE, which is the best ever. So it's like the Black Midi brand of saying that something's awesome.
Top bog entertainment.
Yep. So this is TBE Black Midi album. Shit's dope.
Shit's dope.
All right. And after a very wordy episode, we can go on to our singles.
And when I'm better, we'll do everything.
Get the fuck out, won't you? Get the fuck out, get the fuck out.
I've tried my hand, cut through the sea. Why do I fall for your type?
a shitload to say about pretty much everything. I said this when we were hopping on, like, hey,
Yeah.
just a heads up, I have so much to say about pretty much everything we listen
Yeah,
to.
I didn't feel like we had any dead moments in this. Like I was I was rocking with all of this.
Fully engaged.
Yeah. So our single section, we're going to kick it off with Pearl and the Oysters slash B Bich.
Biche.
Biche. With the
French people, baby.
yes, with the Coordonnees EP?
Coordonnee.
Coordonnate EP. So this one was very chill. I didn't impress me too much, but it was relaxing.
This is a split. Pearl and the Oysters have the first and third track, and Biche have the second and fourth. It is very chill. If you're into like bossa nova and you think some French people singing bossa nova would be your thing, thumbs up. They do that good. Pearl and the Oysters are an act that I've had my eye on for a little while. They have a really, really good album. I have no idea who Biche are. Just full disclosure on that.
Yeah.
Never heard of anything from them. And their contributions to this little thing are not like as great as the other two tracks. But Canned Music is the album by Pearl and the Oysters that I love. They're a band from France that now live in Florida, and I think it's so funny how France their music sounds and how Florida their music sounds.
It does. This one to me, it feels a little bit like some. This is in a good way, by the way. Some like at-home producer who wanted to make some really nice, relaxing music to listen to by the beach, and they live in Florida, and they made it, and it also has a French edge. So, very good, chill, nice sound. I'm into it. All right, next up is going to be Porter Robinson with "Everything Goes On."
He doesn't miss.
I was about to say, I think it's at this point in Porter's career, like it. I just believe that everything he makes is good.
Okay. I say he doesn't miss. I'll qualify that statement with there's some tracks on the first album that I don't like, but like broadly, he doesn't miss. Like the man isn't capable of putting out a bad body of work. He just
has it.
He's so good at what he does at this point that like this is way more pop than anything on Nurture, and like he nails it. Like he just nails it.
I can't wait to hear what he comes out with next.
Yes, there's again like he could springboard in any direction off Nurture. Like if he just made Nurture again, I'd be happy, but I know he won't.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, and even off the back of Nurture, I went back to Worlds, and like they offer such distinctly different experiences, but they are just both so good that I just enjoy them so much.
They're good. They're good.
Next
he's very
up
like I feel like he's very our generation. Like
he definitely is.
Our like there's like 2 years between us, and like those 2 years are like people who are 20, 21, and 22 right now like love Porter Robinson.
He's just like, it's very life affirming. We like life affirming EDM here.
We do.
All right, next up is the Beths with "Expert in a Dying Field."
This is way better than the first single. I'm very happy with this.
I once again didn't feel much about it. I think the Beths are just not for me.
Very sad. We're gonna do this album when it comes out, but I'm afraid it might land in that like up lane.
I liked the cover. That was a little funny with the fish.
It is funny.
Next up
it's catchy. I like it.
Yeah. Next up is Panda Bear and Sonic Boom with "Go On."
I
This
think
is a bit of a mind-bending production job.
I think for this one, I just want to read what I sent you.
Yeah.
Because I really had a moment with this one. I said, this Panda Bear song is like doing something to me. I don't think I like it, but I am really feeling the effects listening to this.
Yeah.
This is Sophie brain confusion juice. This is like that brain fungus that makes bees walk around in circles. Like
this is your cordyceps.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but I can't deny that I felt something about it.
Yeah, I liked this. I'm kind of just a fan of most things that any part of Animal Collective put out.
Yeah, I am the podcast Anko skeptic.
Yeah, I've been into Anko for a while. Big fan of their recent release this year, and Panda Bear, I have yet to listen to a lot of his solo stuff, but I love A.B. Tears, and this is telling me that I should probably do that because I know that his song "Bros" is big. But yeah, I liked this. The production is wacky as shit.
Like, I'm trying to come up with adjectives for this, and like,
it
it's
feels
like somebody bending something that you probably shouldn't have bent.
Yeah, it's like
a body part that should bend.
it feels like motion sickness a little bit. Like you're just kind of being pushed in different directions and your brain can't super process it. Or like wiggling like a thick piece of paper and it makes the wobble sound, but like that in production.
Have you seen the music video for Face Shopping by Sophie?
Yes.
May God rest her soul, obviously, but like the things that happen to like her face in that video is what this song sounds like.
Yeah, this is a wacky ass track. I recommend you give it a try if just to like experience something new.
Yeah, it's the rare case where I don't like it, but I would recommend it.
Yeah. All right, next up is Danger Mouse and Black Thought with Aquamarine featuring Michael Kiwanuka.
This is rapidly becoming one of my most anticipated albums of the year. This went hard.
This is good. I liked it, but it didn't like do anything crazy for me. So I'm a little skeptical of this one. We will see what happens. I do as a rule like Michael Kiwanuka. So it was cool to have him here. I'm into his album Kiwanuka. So
I do as a rule like Black Thought, and I do as a very, very hesitant rule like Danger Mouse. So I hope I hope this I think this one's gonna be. I don't think this one could miss.
Yep.
In my book at least.
Next up is phum viphurit with Healing House.
He's back. I don't know where he went, but he's back.
I don't know who the fuck this is.
He is a guy he's like this soul pop gentle disco artist that got crazy streaming on a couple songs he released with 88 Rising.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That
and
makes sense why I don't
then
know him then.
yeah, Loverboy, which has 80 mil streams, and Hello Anxiety,
Jesus
which has
Christ.
30 mil streams, like exploded, and then he disappeared, and he was gone
Hmm.
for like before this song. His last releases, he's been putting stuff out, but it's mostly like live stuff and remixes.
Yeah.
Yeah, his last original song before a couple songs before this was 2019.
Mhm.
So he just like vanished off the face of the earth, and now he's back. And this is not on 88 Rising. He has left that label, and he is on Rats Records, which is a great name for a record label. Um, I like this. I thought it was nice.
Yeah. I didn't mind it. It was a little bit squeaky for me from what I remember. Generally in this vein, I like a little bit of like naturalism kind of in it. So this one is a little bit like clean for me, but I can
He has a
definitely see
very
the appeal.
he has a very boyish voice that I think works well with that squeakier production.
Yeah.
But I did like this song.
Yeah.
I've said this before, but as much as I like 88 Rising conceptually, I find that they tend to push their artists in a very homogenous direction.
Mhm.
And I can't help but wonder if he like came like brushed up against that. If he was like, no, I need to do something different besides these two songs, but they're pushing me to do these two songs, so I have
That
to leave.
wouldn't shock me. Next up is Genesis Owusu with GTFO.
Again, he doesn't miss.
Yeah, this
He
guy's
really doesn't.
rocking.
This guy is, I think, going to become like a genuinely important artist. Like
Yeah.
everything he does is so like genre smashing genre. I don't know what genre this is.
Yeah.
Like blending genres together, like so forward thinking. He has so much vocal charisma. He's such a good instrumentalist. His band is always killing it. Like I think this guy is destined for so much greatness.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head if Kieran J. Callanan is like a permanent part of his band?
I don't know if he's on this song, but he was for the entirety
Smiling with No Teeth.
of Smiling with No Teeth. I was about to say
Yeah,
Missing
I know
Roller,
that
but
I
that's
know that
not
I think he produced that one
the
too, if I'm not mistaken. I know that he was a big I think he did all of the guitar on that album. I know he was a very big part of it.
yeah, he was super involved with it. But like that is not to he did not produce it, no.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
that is like yes, Kieran J. Cullinan's contributions on there are great, but like it needs to be said that that Genesis Owusu's vision is like the driving force of this. It
Oh,
is like
100%.
his artistry is like fucking incredible.
Undeniable, yeah.
If you have not heard of Genesis Owusu and you have in any way an affection for gorillas, go like put this podcast. We'll finish the episode first. We love you.
Yes.
But then like put your podcast down, walk away, and go listen to Smiling with No Teeth. Like that's one of artist recommendations I can possibly give. It's one of the best records released in the last few years. It's
You'll
so
just you'll just enjoy it. It's just a fun one. All right, next up is Jessie Ware with Free Yourself.
okay. The song's pretty good, but the real like
The
there's
undercover reason why we put it here.
push everything on the table. Song's pretty good. I like Jessie Ware. She did
Mhm.
good on this one. Push all that aside. She says "pee yourself" on this song.
There's
right?
a part where she says please yourself. Supposedly, allegedly, she says please yourself.
According
She
to what the government
definitely
wants you to think. She says "please yourself."
pleasing yourself is a hoax. She's saying pee yourself.
I don't know how it could sound this much like "pee yourself" if she wasn't saying "pee
Yeah,
yourself."
like I feel like there's not a ton of way, like the L is such a prominent part of that
And
that
the
word.
the
Yeah,
z,
please zzz yourself. Please yourself. Like it's crazy that
please
you're
yourself.
saying pee
It's what
yourself.
you have. She just says "pee yourself" in the middle of this song out of
So
nowhere.
many times, so many times.
I wasn't. It's the kind of like pop disco song where I wasn't even listening to the words at all. And then I just became aware that she was saying "pee yourself" over and over again. And it literally reminds me of like the fucking low tier god lightning bolt. You should kill yourself now. But it's like it's Jessie Ware
You should
floating above
pee
you.
yourself now.
Jessie Ware floating above you Britishly with like this a genuinely great disco beat behind her, and she points down at you with her hand that's the size of a school bus and says, "You should pee yourself now," with the force of like an angry goddess.
I think that
Oh my
I
god.
think that the line after that is like pee
Oh.
yourself, don't stop. And it's like this shit is amazing.
Can't cape for Jessie Ware like this, and then this is how she repays me. I'm crying right now. I'm lightheaded. I'm crying.
Please listen to this song.
I texted you in like a fear, like I was losing my fucking mind.
I need you to know that I was
When I
teaching
texted you
children
this.
when you texted me that.
I
opened my phone to look at the time and I saw that and I went
You went what?
I went like I did like the like
Dude,
like
I swear to God, I don't know what sound you're trying to make, but either your Wi-Fi or your microphone is fucking it up horribly, and you just sound like a bass boost noise every single time you try to imitate the noise. And I'm hoping to God that comes through in the final podcast because I need everyone around me in my circle to feel like the absolute wave of like delirious laughter and then complete confusion I just felt. What were you doing? What were you like when you received my P missive? What did you feel?
my stomach hurts. The fucking like okay, put your lips together. And now exhale, push air out of your lips. Yes. Yes.
I can. That's the poop noise.
I
Wrong
pooped
one.
myself on the spot.
The wrong one.
I browned my jorts when I was teaching my kids. I browned my trousers.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, anyway.
Now to talk about a really good song.
Yeah, which is The Garden with Orange County punk rock legend. Shout out Orange County.
Pause
The
the
boys are
podcast.
from Anaheim.
Pause the podcast and go listen to the song. It's a minute and a half, and it'll blow your shit back.
It's
really
so good. The production on this is so wacky. I love
It's
them.
so weird. The way the guitars are treated is like it's like
And-
there's a bumblebee inside your head.
And the vocals are so like wacky and like I love them. Like really, I'm so excited to see where they go. Like I've always had a really soft spot for The Garden just because they do sound like they're having so much fun all the time.
This record, like from the two singles, I hope this is like their return to making like a full length punk album again. I think that will be so fucking good. I need to hear like everything they've done the last few years channeled into a punk album. I want that.
Yeah, and their unique style of doing it is they are like the definition of just fucking doing your own thing. Like they're just two brothers making whatever the goddamn Sam Hill they want to. And that like irreverent spirit is like I think that they are one of the futures of punk. I've always said that I feel like they are kind of one of the big voices of modern punk that could be
They're
like a huge like compass for where the genre goes.
they're punk in such a novel way. Like it is
Yes.
truly punk. Like the ethos is there, the DIY spirit is there. The object of punk in the classic sense is to look like you give as little of a shit as possible, right?
And they truly do.
They really do not give a shit. It's great.
They're like former high-end fashion models who go on stage with shitty clown makeup. And like when I saw them, like I saw them live and they were an amazing show. But they're like jumping in and out of the guitar and the drum kit, like respectively, to like switch off on vocals. They're literally jumping over chords. They just have a massive trash can with an animatronic rat in it on the stage for no reason. Like they're just doing their thing. And I have a huge excitement boner for this next album.
That does remind me of when I saw of Montreal and they brought out like this like Chinese dragon like thing that there were multiple people inside and I was dancing around him on stage for a little while. And then they just also brought out like a giant possum
Yeah,
that people were inside. Like,
that's just the way it goes.
that's just nothing. That's not anything. But it
Yeah,
is great.
when I saw Montreal, they did the same thing. They brought out like they looked like knockoff like sports mascots. It was very fun. Anyway,
Do you want to skip this one and do it last and go to Miss Eilish for
yeah,
now?
yeah, let's do
Okay.
that. So next up is Billie Eilish with TV and the 30th.
Uh, I felt nothing about TV.
Yeah, TV was okay. Weirdly, I don't know what happened to me. I listened to this one first for some reason, and I laid down and I had a big lunch, and TV made me want to throw up a little bit. I don't know, something about it like just made me nauseous. I don't think it's the fault of the song. It might have just been like
A bad
the
sandwich or something.
no, the dynamics of it probably gave me like some motion sickness. But the 30th is a good track.
Yeah, 30th is a great track. I would say one of her best in recent memory, given how mixed a bag that I thought Happier Than Ever was. Yeah, this song is really good. Like it sells the genuine emotion of the political standing in the track. It's called the 30th because that's when Roe v. Wade got stricken.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just really good. Like it's a nice folk song. Like surprisingly for her. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have expected her to do that well, but she really did.
I think
Shout out.
she continues to be a good voice to lead modern pop in a positive
Yeah.
direction.
She's like Lizzo, right? Like she's a person up there. Like
Yeah.
you can believe that there's a person behind this.
Yeah, and I don't love like in the same vein as Quinn, but on a macro, I think that it's kind of unfair to her to say like she is the driving force of pop, like to put that on her. But it is the truth. Like what she does sticks.
Yeah.
So I am glad to see her continuing to succeed and making stuff that I think will genuinely result in good stuff in the future.
Yeah.
Next up is Megan Thee Stallion with Pressurelicious featuring Future.
I thought this was fun.
Oh, that was fun too. I am inclined to hope Megan succeeds because
I
I'm
love
also
Megan.
Megan.
I love her so much. I
Yeah,
love you so much too, but Megan
Oh.
Thee Stallion is like I'm a stan.
Yeah,
I'm not a stan. Don't
I
stan anything. No
yeah.
stans. Stan is bad, but I'm a Megan Thee Stallion stan.
I like her a lot. She's got a great personality, and that personality shows through really well. She to me is Rico Nasty for the mainstream in a lot of ways.
But yeah,
So I like her.
we need to do a song
attitude.
together, and I would die.
I would die too. She's got a ton of tude. I like her a lot, and I also like that she does like she does stuff that I think is very cute, which is like she did a collab with Crunchyroll about her favorite anime because she talks about liking anime a lot, and it was like actually like she knew some deep cuts, and I was like, she actually is into it. This is great.
She cosplayed Todoroki from My Hero Academia for some like magazine cover shoot. It was good.
Yeah, she's cool.
Not that I like My Hero Academia anymore, but yeah,
It's just cool to see it, you know. And it's that is kind
like
of
there's so much bravado. Like her thing is that she has so much bravado. And then to just like see her doing fucking like normal people shit like watching anime is very funny.
Yeah. I do like her, but I will say I'm not huge on Future like ever.
I actually liked him on this song.
So I was on him here.
I am generally like a Future skeptic. Like
Yeah.
I don't like him either, but I thought he added quite a bit to the song. Actually, I thought them like trading bars was a lot of fun because they just have such different vocal styles.
Yeah. Next up is Come and Avogo with Leave Him.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, baby.
This is really punchy. I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
like such
baby.
strong production. Like the chorus hits. The
Yeah,
verses
baby.
even really hit. I was cool with this. I like this.
Wow.
Let's
Tom
fucking
and Avogo,
go.
Tom and Avogo are like my like hidden gem secret treasure. You know, like
Yeah.
they're the kind of band that like I think will inevitably blow up someday. But like while they're small right now, I'm so glad that they're like my little thing that I can
Yeah.
like I'm the only one who knows about this. Um
It's
they
this and
are
Trash Fashion. That's really funny.
okay, well Trash Fashion is like Trash Fashion will never go big because they make bad music, right? Like the music is bad, but I
Well,
like it
that
anyway.
doesn't limit some people. Let's not.
That's that's true, but it's bad in a way that wasn't even cool like 15 years ago when other people were doing this. Now it's just bad and outdated, and for
Yeah.
some reason I like it anyway. Um Common Avogo are like, man, this band does things to me. Have I talked about them on the podcast before?
You have mentioned them quite a few times. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've probably explained my deal with them, but TLDR, there's two guys. The vocalist Joseph Swarbrick is a powerhouse. He can do so much. And the producer is this guy who goes by Shirk. And when I was 14, I initially discovered Shirk's music through Markiplier. Let's
Oh,
go! Any
wow.
Marky Moo heads in the chat?
Shout out my roommate Jasmine.
Shout out! Oh my God, Jasmine! Jasmine, I miss you.
Oh.
Jasmine, if you're listening to the podcast, I miss you. You're the best. Um, Literally, like I met Jasmine maybe 3 times, like right before the end of the school year, and like I feel almost like I've never clicked with a person and gotten invested in a person that like rapidly fast. Jasmine, you rule. I love you.
Jasmine's
Um,
amazing. Jasmine and Caitlin went to
um,
the zoo today. I'm jealous.
oh my God, I'm so jealous of them. Anyway, hi guys, you are the best. Um, anyway, uh. Yeah, so Shirk Haunted by Shirk was the outro for all of Markiplier's horror game videos, which is such a dubious distinction, but like that's where I first heard that song. At that time he was making like serious bassy dubstep. And some of the only dubstep that I think that I liked at that time that still holds up. And now I found this band through their project Heart Failure from 2020, which is maybe question mark my favorite album of 2020.
Mm.
And it's trading places with Sports Team, who I've also gushed about on this podcast. But I found it through this YouTuber who recommended it, and I loved the clip he played. So I listened to it, and it just completely blew my shit back. I was like jaw on the floor, like, oh my God, this is the greatest fucking like 80s revival, but also so modern and
Mhm.
so forward thinking pop that I've heard in so long. And then like I'm like stalking this band on Instagram because I've become obsessed with them over the last 3 days, and it's fucking Shirk, whose
Oh,
shitty dubstep stuff from 2014 I still have in rotation today. I was like, oh my God, this man like
he's
he
made for you.
nailed me in 2014, and he has nailed my tastes again in 2020. Like how'd you do that? How have you grown
He
with me
can't miss,
so
but only for
precisely?
Sophie Core.
Literally. Go listen to Common Avogo. Run them up. They deserve it.
Yeah, give him a try. And
They
our
actually,
closer.
one more thing. They did a really funny remix of a DJ Sabrina the Teenage Witch, a
Oh
DJ
my
Sabrina
god,
the Teenage DJ
TJ,
song,
yeah.
called "It's the Love Foundation Coleman Avogo XTC remix," and it's so good, and it has 5,000 plays on Spotify, and that's a fucking crime. Everyone go listen to that.
All right. Next up is gonna be Panic the Disco with "Middle of a Breakup."
I couldn't believe this when I heard it. This
I
is
I think that Brendan Urie is really taking the cake right now for worst late career aesthetic choices I think I've ever seen.
here's the thing. I'm the like pop hook shithead, so I don't even hate his last album. I don't.
Mm.
Like That's the thing. I know everybody hates that album, but I
Yeah,
will
I hate
log
that one.
on. I will log on to say that I don't think that album is that bad. Um, this is like horrible. Just
It's really
everything.
bad.
Like so, like everything about it is poorly conceived. From the sound to the concept to the production to his vocals are awful. Like
The cover
he's
as well.
Yes, he's like Brendan Urie at this point in his career. Like, I'll defend the last album as having songs that I like on it. He's unlikable. Like he just has zero charisma left in the tank from whatever was back in the early Panic days. Like he has just driven himself so fully into the ground as a personality.
Yeah.
And this song is that like distilled and magnified. It's like he's like a bro.
Yeah, it's and also Brendan Urie is a one of the good victims of cancel culture, and that he had a long time coming to him with that.
It's just
Um,
so
he's got a
he's
long history of pretty shitty things. And now hearing him make relatively vapid pop music that's just like fratty and really gross in like a very like casually misogynistic way that feels like this could have been
I
made in like 2005. And it's just so nasty.
I have to read. I honestly feel like I just have to read all of this song out loud because I'm trying to pinpoint like what the worst line on this is, and I just keep cringing harder and harder. It starts out with "Honeybee, honey, I can hear the gossip buzzing round the hive. Ecstasy, love it, up until the point you sting me and I die. You and me don't deserve each other. We ain't no star-crossed lovers. We just get carried away." I do need to point out that the delivery on that "ain't" is the least like
It has no sauce on it whatsoever.
the worst "ain't" I've ever heard. Pre-chorus. "Oh shit, you're kissing my neck."
Oh, I know.
"Oh shit, you're kissing my neck, kissing my chest. Now I remember why we fell in love. Hot smoke feels like we just met. Lips I couldn't kick. Honey, honey, you're my favorite drug." Which that is the single most played out line in pop music history.
Yes.
And then he goes into "keep your disco, give me T-Rex, make up sex in the middle of a breakup," which I just I like let's go piece by piece. "Keep your disco. Your name is Panic at the Disco. That's your name.
Yeah.
That's your name. Give me T-Rex. Why would you invoke T-Rex, one of the most storied glam rock bands in history, on this, which can be called glam rock only if you've never heard Queen before?"
Yeah. Ugh, I will say I am a bit of a defender of Vices and Virtues. I think that's a pretty good album.
Um,
I liked it when I was younger, and I still, if I didn't hate him as a person, I would still probably listen to a couple of the songs.
of of all of the albums, that one has aged the best.
Yeah. Um,
Because the one with
A Fever You
the
Can't Sweat Out.
well, that one's very much a product of its time, but in a charming way, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty Odd is like he does the same thing for 12 tracks. And then
Death of a Bachelor.
I am also the Death of a Bachelor defender because it was my first one, so it's like the save rock and roll for me. And
Oh,
then
Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die.
yes, Two Words Live and Die has aged like milk. If you go
It's
back and listen to that
terrible.
album, it sounds so bad. It sounds so 2013.
Yeah, and I gotta say that he is behaving now as if he is still like 25 and like
Yeah,
off his game. He's 35.
yeah.
He's been married for 9 years. He needs to, I hate to say this, but he needs to act his age. Like
You and
I'm
me
all for people like retaining their youth and like enjoy retaining their inner child or whatever. He's not retaining his inner child. He's retaining his inner like college
on
aged frat douche, you know?
on the second verse, he says, "You and me ain't no Bonnie and Clyde." You know where the last time I heard that line was?
Hmm.
Ex Ambassadors.
Yeah.
You remember Ex Ambassadors?
Regrettably.
This is like that's the lyric tier that we're on right now.
Yeah, this shit's terrible.
This is like this is solidly one of the worst songs of the year, And I say this as someone who heard Viva Las Vengeance, the title track, on the radio, and I was like, oh, that's okay. This is like
straight up bad.
gutter tier music. Like
Yeah.
some of the worst shit I've heard in so long.
And I can only hope it doesn't pick up steam, because people are
I don't think it will. I think this song is like
too reprehensible.
it's like this song has a really solid dislike chunk on YouTube. I'm looking at it
That's
right now.
good. That's good. I have faith in people now. All
The
right.
top- Oh my god. Wait. Okay. We've run this podcast. This is a long ass episode, but
Yes.
I do need to read the 640 upvote comment on this song on YouTube. I don't know if this is an insult or a compliment, what it was intended as, but it really does like just everything about this song. This song sounds like something they would have definitely covered in Glee.
Whoa. Oh, that's brutal.
Uh,
Fuck Brendan Urie.
yeah, there's a lot of comments about people who hate this though.
Anti Brendan Urie podcast. Yeah. So I think that's us for this session.
Yeah, I think we've said more than enough this session.
Yeah,
Good
this
Lord.
was a very engaging set of albums for me.
Yeah, good week. Good week.
Yeah, good week. So this has been us. We have a Twitter.
At Presses Cast. You can follow us there if you'd like. Please follow us on Spotify. We are also on SoundCloud and YouTube as Scad Radio. You can find us there.
Yep.
Please also, I know I haven't said this in past episodes because I think it can come across as kind of annoying, but please, if you like our shit, like, please share us around. Like, if you think there's anybody who would enjoy this podcast or like would benefit from like having in-depth album like breakdowns or like getting introduced to some like weird shit I found on Bandcamp or whatever, like seriously, like share it around. It helps us grow a lot. Like every time I like surreptitiously drop a link somewhere in line in a Reddit post, hi Reddit, something I put like gets 20 views in a day. Like it really does help us. So if you feel so inclined, please, hands on knees.
We do this for fun at the end of the day and connect with each other and to hang out. But really, it is very fun to know that there are people who are engaging with what we're talking about, and it inspires us to dig deep and really put time into making this the best it can be. So
we make negative money off of this. Like my new microphone for this podcast was a business expenditure, but like it is fun to watch Funny Number go up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And we do put a lot of time into this between listening to all these albums, taking notes. I have to spend hella time editing.
Yeah. I have to spend hella time making the playlist of all the random shit we brought up over the course of these episodes.
Yeah, Sophie gets the raw audio and has to trowel through there and pause probably every like 20 seconds to add a new song to the playlist. So we do try. So if you feel so inclined,
we do this for you. My hands look like this, so your hands can look like down at your hands. That.
Yeah, so that's all for us this week. I have been Megan.
I have been Sophie.
And we're still hot.
And on the presses.
And
pee yourself now.
Pee yourself now.
Pee yourself.
Goodbye.
Later.